What's up, everyone? Just gonna wait a few minutes to make sure everyone gets in here. This will be our Pixel Talk Q&A. I got a few Pixel 6 Pro owners. I got my Pixel in here. Can't really see it for the light. And then my boy Ike is gonna be in here as well. And Peter from Direct Tech. He has the regular Pixel 6, and as a lot of people know, he had a lot of issues. So I'm 100% positive that he's gonna let us know how he feels. So we're just gonna wait a few minutes, see a few people come in here, and then I'll invite my co-host up here as well. And also Dwayne Mims, Wayne Train will be in here as well. I believe he got the regular Pixel 6, the seafoam green. So yeah, that's gonna be interesting as well. Okay, just waiting on some comments to come in here, and then I'll invite my other guests up. Don't have any viewers right now, but let me share this to Twitter as well. Okay, my boy Siova in here. What's good, Siova? Hope your day's going well. Let me post this to Twitter right quick. Still a rookie at this. I haven't done this in a few months. Just been incredibly busy. What's good, LaShawn, my moderator in here. Hope your day's going good too. Yeah, we're gonna have some fun tonight. Probably gonna be on here an hour and a half, something like that. Yep, see over. That's what I'm trying to do. Just trying to chill with my boys and just do straight Pixel talk today. If they have some news articles they could send me the link to, I'll just bring that up as well. Ike got another special guest in here as well, so gonna have a lot of fun tonight. Okay, I'm gonna invite my first guest up. Well, his guest is still here. My boy Ike from Ike's Tech Talk in the building. What's good, bro?
Yo, what's going on? What's going on? Sorry, I had to have little mini me crash the stream. Mom's probably gonna come and grab him in a little bit. Dang,
everybody, welcome to
you
this
already showing out. He already showing out, spitting out pacifiers and everything.
Yeah,
you already know you on cam, huh, buddy?
Yeah.
But
Yeah, this is my brother
man.
Ike right here. Like, man, we don't even like go that far back, but it feel like it's been like forever.
Bro, it's like we know each other forever, man. Seriously.
Yeah,
Like it's just crazy because like even on some things, it's just weird how it's like all set up. Like we were talking, what was it? I forget what it was. Just recently, we were talking, and it was like we both were like spot on. Like, oh, I remember. I can't say it too. Hold on, she's not watching, right? She's not watching.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, no, because you were talking about putting on.
Don't say it. Don't say it.
Yeah, don't. Okay. Yeah. I'm about to say, so I'm saying like, nah. But yeah. But even with that, like, it's just crazy how it's like we both just just like link up and stuff. So
Yeah, man. I got my other brother from across seas, my boy Patar from Direct Tech in the building. What's good, man?
What's going on?
How's it going, guys? Sorry, I had you on mute there for a hot second. Didn't want to interrupt you while you were doing your intros. How's everyone doing?
You're
That's
good.
Mini me.
Going
How's it going, Mini me?
Mini Ike in the building. Oh yeah, Mike
All right.
did see that as well. Mike also had a baby today, so if he's in here, congratulations, bro. It's a big thing. Fatherhood is a huge thing, and congratulations on that.
Oh yeah, Mike did have the baby. Yo,
Yeah,
congratulations,
to
man.
Mike.
Congratulations. No.
So yeah, we're just going to be talking about the Pixels today. I know Patar had the Pixel 6. He did not have the best experience with it. We're going to go through that later on. Ike is a fellow Pixel 6 Pro owner. What color did you get again, Ike?
I think he's on mute for a hot second.
Oh, yeah, he's on mute.
Oh, my bad. Hold on 1 second.
No problem. Take your time. But yeah, show them your Coral Pixel 6.
So the Coral, I will admit, I'm a little disappointed with it. I should have got the sea foam, but it's a nice color.
Yeah,
It's a nice
yeah.
color. I'm not
Right.
complaining.
So is that back like is that full white or is it like a pinkish tone to it?
So
The
it's funny, like the top is like very clearly orange, but
yeah.
then the bottom's a lot more pink than I thought it would be. And now
Okay.
I'm just like, oh, I don't know. Maybe it's a little bit too feminine for me.
Yeah, yeah, I feel you on that.
I mean,
A lot of
I
people
like it.
will,
I saw your video. I like it. I think it looks dope.
yeah, a lot of people
I
will
like
hold
it.
that purchase decision. So yeah, it's good that you can actually show it off on camera because a lot of people are think like I thought it was full white on the back. So
No, no, no. Do you know
yeah,
what? I like
what
it in the
color?
cotton candy case as well. It's like a really nice neon translucent kind of pink.
Okay,
So it's quite
gotcha.
cool.
Yeah, what color 6 Pro
I
did you
like
get?
it. I got the Stormy Black. Right now I'm rocking I can
The
see that robot camo. So
yes,
I got
sir.
the robot camo, the Rinky, the matte version of the Rinky case that dropped or whatever. I'm running that one right now. So
Okay, I
like I
got you.
said, man, really liking it. Really liking it.
Yeah, I personally decided I went with the I can't even see that. The
Sort
lighting
of
in here is
sunny.
horrible. I went with the sort of sunny Pixel 6 Pro. So I really like it mainly because of the gold accents. I love gold phones, so that's why I decided to pick up the sort of sunny. So yeah, if you guys have any questions about the Pixel at all, feel free to drop them. I see Barry Johnson is in the building. I hope he's doing good.
Harry, hello, mate. How's it going?
And let me go through some of these comments. See Fit Blind Tech in the building.
Yeah, she's saying a little one.
Yeah, one of our,
Yep, he's hanging out until mom gets ready to come and snatch him from me. Oh, speaking of which, hold on.
I
Hold
see
on.
Trent in the
My
building
mom is
just
asking.
working. Hope you're doing good, Trent.
Go, mommy babas. All right, I'll see you later, babas.
See you later, little buddy.
They said, see you later. I know you don't want to go. You love the camera. It's okay. Yeah, he started to get fussy.
He's the
So
star
yeah,
of the show.
so for those who don't follow Patar, he's been on just a spree on Twitter, posting some videos as well. But before we do that, my other boy is in the building.
Hey,
The Wayne train.
What's popping, yo?
First off, you know we gotta ask what you eating on. What you eating?
I actually got something tonight.
I was gonna say you can't go. You can't have a stream without
No,
Wayne. You're like, oh, what
no,
you
we
eat?
gotta
Oh
the
shit!
world
We
gotta
got
know.
a Shake Shack.
Okay, okay. We only got one Shake Shack here. I don't think I've had it nothing but like one time.
Yeah.
And so basically, we only thing we really done is just went through like the model of whatever pixel we got and the color. So what did you decide to go with, Wayne?
I went with the Seafoam.
Okay, you got it.
nice.
Okay, there you
Yeah.
go.
Let me
The
see if I can
seafoam.
get this
Yeah,
down.
it looks way cleaner than I thought it was. Just all
Yeah.
the videos that I seen on the seafoam.
Yeah, like it's what I noticed though, like what they show on the box, it's like a little green. It's not really green at all. It's actually kind of white.
I
Like it's
got
a
you.
little green. What's going on, Barry?
Yeah, we will get on that later. I'm 100% positive we will get on that later.
I don't think anyone's got anything positive to say about it.
Okay, so yeah. So first we're just gonna go with Patar because I know it's gonna be a minute with his with his reactions to the regular Pixel 6. So just go ahead. Tell us about your experience, when you got it, if you got it early.
So I actually got it a little bit early. I got it early morning on the 27th,
Okay.
and everything actually started off pretty good. I was like, oh, it's nice and stable. Things work. The setup went really well. One thing that was different this year during the setup process that I hadn't seen before on Pixels was turned it on, logged into my Google account. I couldn't do the wire transfer. And it said to me, do you want to use an old backup? Very similar to how you do it with iCloud. You know, you can just download a backup from the iCloud. So that was the first. And I was like, great, that's something I've wanted for like the last 2-3 years from Google. That was a
Mhm.
real plus. And then I'd say from about the evening of the 27th till now, it's just been a constant decline in experience. First
Gotcha.
of all, the software just continues to get more and more unstable.
Uh-huh.
I've got constant system crashes, app crashes. The fingerprint scanner, I mean, you can do up to a maximum of 5 finger scans, right? So I've got 2 of each thumb. And one thing I'll say as well is like compared to other pixel fingerprint sensors, they're making you do a much more detailed scan take a lot longer. And even then, you know, with 2 thumbs, 2 scans, like all the angles covered, it's slow. There's like about a 1 second delay. It's not like you're going to notice it's anything massive, but you are going to notice it. And then today, all of a sudden, it's gone to like 2 seconds, 3, 4 second delays, if it even, you know, lets me in the phone at all. I'm like, what the hell is going on? I've got the November 5th patch on the 27th.
Okay.
And I'm starting to think, I wonder if it's that update which has made it worse. But my biggest problem with this Pixel is, like, Pixel's main selling point is it's still photography, right?
Mhm.
The white balance is off. There's a massive lens flare issue, and any source of light, anything that's bright, just gets massively blown out.
Okay.
And I remember last year when I had my 4A 5G, you know, I went out for a day out with some family. My iPhone 12 Pro at the time was really struggling with the bright light. Whipped out the 4A 5G and it handled it like a champ. So
Mhm.
it's not like it was a problem before. I don't know if what they've done, but if I had to describe it in a way, it's like they've slapped in the new sensor and not bothered to optimize for it yet. It's like an afterthought, like, yeah, we'll come back to that later after we've sorted out Android 12.
Okay.
None of the software feels complete, but none of the issues are with the hardware. I mean, we've
It
seen
is.
from
Yeah.
previous Pixel years at launch consistently, there's a problem with the hardware at launch, and
Yeah.
then subsequently 6 months later, there's always another issue. Now, I will say something positive. I'm very impressed with Tensor. I think Tensor is incredibly responsive.
It is. Yeah.
All the hype about the machine learning, the AI, and the voice dictation, it's real. Like, please believe it's real, and it's super useful. But I think it's going to take a little bit of time to get this Pixel where it needs to be. I don't want anyone to think I'm hating on the Pixel. I'm not hating on it. I love Pixel. I'm
Yeah, for sure.
annoyed.
Me and
I'm
that's how
annoyed.
me and you actually like started talking. We both had Pixels, the 4A 5G, right?
Yeah. And my gripe is the fact that Google's really dropped the ball. Like, how can you launch something this incomplete software wise? Because look, these phones, if they don't have functioning software, all of that hardware is redundant. It's an expensive paperweight. Without functioning software, it's nothing. It's entirely pointless. You
Mhm.
know, I've had people in my comments calling me a liar, a fraud, and I mean, in my video, I clearly said I'm not saying don't buy it, and I'm not
Right.
saying take my experience as gospel, but take it into consideration. You know, if you want to buy it now and you're willing to take the risk, cool, go ahead.
Exactly.
Sooner or later, it's going to come good. If you're not in a position, if your phone's that important to you, wait 3, 6 months, however long. Just follow the situation, and when you feel like it's ready, you know, you've got confidence to buy it.
Right.
Buy it. You know, and I said I'll circle it, and people are saying to me, "Why didn't you review it and stuff like that?" What's the point of giving it a review when I don't feel
Exactly.
like it has a fighting chance?
Exactly.
I'm going
And
to end
I
up slating it when it doesn't deserve it.
Yeah, I really respect you for that choice, honestly, because a lot of people would make multiple videos on that. They would piggyback off of the views and just keep posting negative videos, like, strictly about the Pixel. So, I, like, really respect your opinion on that.
Yeah, thank you, man. And you know, a lot of people have said to me that I'm being negative for the views. Like, please go back through my content if you think that, because you'll see I've got multiple videos where, like, I'm constantly saying I much prefer the Pixel over the iPhone for a very strong number of things. Um, and the light source being blown out as well carries over to the video. So basically, anything bright doesn't seem to be
Yeah,
working. And I'm gonna finish off on this. The Bluetooth is significantly better. I've had no dropout issues with my Pixel Buds.
great.
So that was definitely the 4A 5G. If you remember, I was having some
Yeah,
Bluetooth issues with my
I did
buds, and I
too.
wasn't sure
I
what
did
it
too on
was.
Android 12. Yeah, I did on Android 12 as well.
A complaint that I've got, and something I'm disappointed about, is they've put this 50 megapixel sensor in, but there's no option for me to choose manually at what megapixel count I want it to
Yeah,
be at. It's just
I
automatically binning back down to 12.
mhm.
So you've put this 50 megapixel sensor in, but I'm not getting 50 megapixel quality. So what was the point? You may, in some sense, I feel like, why didn't you just keep a 12 megapixel sensor and just make a larger sensor?
I
So
definitely get that concern as well. I personally think that should have been an option as well, but I think it's mainly because like pixels are known for like basically automatic photos. So like having that high megapixel count is really like a manual process. So
Yeah, I
that's the
mean I was gonna say, yeah, and that too, like as far as what you're talking about, Galen, and like too, like when you do go to that 108 or the 50, for example. I mean, this is the first 50 that I've used personally, but I can say like on Samsung devices, like with the 108, even when you're not shooting that full blown 108 photo, you still find that you can like kind of crop in or zoom in a little bit and still have a little bit more detail than you normally would on like a full blown 12 megapixel sensor. But I feel like there's kind of pros and cons going with it too, because as you do bump up that megapixel count, yeah, it's bending down to 12 or whatever the pixel is, like slightly under or whatever, but those megapixels get smaller, so they're getting less information, less light. So it's kind of a lot that goes into it. I mean, I do think that Google hit that sweet spot with 50 instead of going like too crazy. But I
yeah,
still
I agree.
think, yeah, I still think personally though that they do need to do a little bit of tuning. I was talking to someone on Twitter and they were talking about how it seemed like the edge detection in portrait kind of took a bit of a step back. And I even noticed
I
a
Yeah,
little
agree.
bit today. I took
I
a
agree
picture
100%.
of, yeah, I took
yeah,
a picture of my kids, and normally I take a picture of both of them at the same time, portrait mode, and there's no issues. In this particular scenario, it completely missed the inside of one of my kids' arms. And on my Pixel 5, like I said, I take similar photos all the time. I've never had an issue. So I honestly think that it's one of those things where they need a couple of software updates to kind of fine tune and really get their software ready for the
Yeah,
camera. But like I said, time will tell. Time will definitely tell.
I,
yeah,
I really got my I really got my mind blown today because I went out for a long walk with the dogs and girlfriend. I was taking loads of comparison pictures in every mode possible. And I never really thought I'd live to see the day where the iPhone really smoked my Pixel that bad at portraits.
Yeah,
That was
and
like a
that's
seriously
crazy.
mind blown moment. And I
That's
will post
crazy.
those in case anyone doesn't believe me. They are coming.
Yeah, and that's in my opinion, that's what it's all about. Like as long as you're like showing your work, like, cause I always call it like show your work. Cause like in school, for example, when you do math equations stuff like that, and you might be able to solve it in your head, but if you're not showing your work, sometimes you don't get credit for it. I look at it the same exact way. So it's like as long as you're showing your work and you're like, hey, this is my experience. I mean, yeah, it is what it is. It may not be the general consensus, but as long as you're showing your work, man, and you're putting the information out there, I don't see anything wrong with that. Like I said, me and you are already talked, and I was like, look, like much respect for, instead of just reviewing it just to get the views or be like because the whole YouTube thing kind of goes to drama and controversy. So
Oh, I know.
yeah, exactly. So it's like I have respect for you in that sense, where it's like at least you did decide that, you know what, I don't feel as though this is ready for me to review yet. I'd rather take a step back and just kind of follow it and see what's going on and kind of let us crazy people here just go along for the ride, because you already know me, I have no problem with going along for the ride. But like I said, I don't know, man, because I've seen your photos too, and it's definitely, yeah, I'm like, whoa, like that's kind of bad. So like I said, man, but at the end of the day, it's your experience and you're showing your work. If people don't like that, it is what it is. As long
What
as we
makes
can
me
kind of
laugh
keep
is
everything civil, because I feel like people kind of not keep it civil, and it's like we have to keep it civil, is what it is.
yeah. Especially like in this space, like we're definitely like a community. Like honestly, just keep it civil for real. Yeah, I don't think it's fair like for anyone to be like attacking each other at
Yeah,
all.
because at the end of the day, man, like whether it's you attacking somebody else or somebody attacking, you, like at the end of the day, man, like it's a phone, bro. Like straight up, like it is
you
a
know what
phone.
this
That's
is.
it.
So I am guilty of getting in my feelings and being a little bit
Mm-hmm.
toxic. Like flat out, I'll admit I'm a little guilty. But
Mm-hmm.
I think for the first 24 hours that video is up, I just really didn't notice it. But there's only so many times I can really sit there and read, I'm a liar, I'm a fraud, and like all the million, like I've had someone called my mum a whore.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like when we start getting to that point, man, that's 110% uncalled for. Like regardless if you agree with the person or not, bro. Like
there is just a moment I snapped, and I'm just like, F
I don't
it,
blame
like,
you.
you know, and
I don't blame you.
Yeah, I
you
feel
know,
that
I
we're
honestly don't
human.
blame you.
Yeah, we're human for real. So how did your experience go with the Pixel 6 Wayne? Like, did you get it?
Honestly, I was gonna say honestly, I just got it last night for the most part, and I
Okay.
haven't even got a chance to really get into it. I took a few pictures this morning with my daughter, but I haven't been able to like really play with it. Tomorrow will be a day I can. I'm going to a football game, so I'm gonna
Oh,
snap
How
a
do you
nice.
bunch of
feel about
shots.
how do you feel about the size, Mims?
What's that?
Do you feel like how about the size? Do you feel like it's like too
Oh
small
yeah,
or it's just
because I
straight
know
or
you guys got the pros, I
yeah, we
believe.
got the pro.
Except
Yeah,
Peter,
yeah,
you
yeah.
got the 6 as well. But I think it's low key kind of perfect.
Okay.
Like
That's what's up.
it's I don't know. Like I like it. I like the flat display. Obviously, that's my thing.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I do kind of miss the telephoto lens if you like from the
Yeah,
pro,
that's
but
true.
I never really I didn't think I would because I never use my
I
telephoto
feel
lens,
you.
but I kind of want that. But overall, like it's solid. Oh, some of the things that I've probably noticed, which I kind of hate. I was gonna say this to start, like seeing that there was so many issues going on.
Mhm.
I don't like that. Like now when I get the phone, the first thing I'm doing is checking for those issues. I
Yeah,
kind of wanted
I
to
did the
like,
same thing. I did
Exactly.
the same
yeah,
thing, and it sucks, bro. Because you kind of like subliminally like, well, how's
yeah,
my fingerprint sensor? How's my camera?
yeah,
So I
yeah.
100% get where you
So that's
coming
what
from,
I
man.
yeah, so that's what I did. You know, I'm like I'm playing with the fingerprint scanner. I'm like, okay, but what I ended up finding out or what I figured out, at least on my own, is like I think what they're trying to do is just a little different. It's not really I don't like it. I wish they would just kind of just keep it simple, but I think it's just the whole press and hold thing. If you
Mhm.
remember press and hold, it'll work almost every
Yeah,
time. But most other optical sensors, all you gotta do is tap it and it's
and
open.
that's what I'm used to. That's
Yeah.
100%
So
what I'm used to.
yeah, and other than that, like it works like all the time. There's some times where it kind of has to take a moment to think, but other than that, it works. It's secure and it does its job. But I think they could tweak that a little bit in software. And but other than that though, it's solid. I really don't have too much to say. I gotta use it some more, obviously, but yeah.
Yeah. And that's kind of how I see it too. It's like one of those things where it's like I've never had it like where I'm sitting there trying to scan my fingerprint and it's just like
Mhm.
no. Like I've never had that. It's always just been where it's like finicky, where it's like I
Yeah.
always get in, so it's definitely usable. It does what
Right.
it's supposed to do. It's just definitely finicky. But like I said, when we're talking backstage, the sensors that they're using is the same ones as the OnePlus devices, if I'm not
Mhm.
mistaken. And the OnePlus phones was like
Solid.
stupid
Yeah. That's
fast,
why I'm
stupid
hoping
fast.
that
So
software
same.
should be able to get it.
That was the exact point I was getting ready to make. Like I feel like software should definitely be able to kind of figure it out or whatever the case may be, because it definitely. And I mean, I was telling Galen too. I've even had times where I'll kind of like mistakenly like just like tap it, almost like I was using like the
Yeah.
S21 Ultra or something, and it'll
Right.
work. So I know
Okay.
for a
So
fact
yeah.
it's not something where it's like every
Yeah.
time I'm having to do that. It's
Mhm.
just like sometimes it's just kind of finicky.
Yeah,
So
so yeah, they can probably speed it up through
yeah,
software a little
yeah.
bit,
My only
but
question is, I mean, look, it's 2021. Ultrasonic sensors are a thing. We've got a second, even maybe a third generation where the surface area of the ultrasonic sensors is larger. So why didn't they just go with an ultrasonic in the first place?
To keep it
yeah, I would
100%.
honestly, I thought
Go
they
ahead, Mims.
I was gonna say I think I don't know why they didn't either, seeing that the
Cost,
ultrasonic is
I
probably
would put it
more on
down
the
to cost
secure
or
side.
availability.
Bruh.
Like
I
it's
was literally about to say that either availability or they were trying to make sure that they hit that price point.
Fact.
yeah,
Because like the optical ones are cheaper because that's what OnePlus uses. Like they are
hmm
cheaper than the
Mm.
ultrasonic, but like the finger, and I mean the ultrasonic used to be significantly slower than the optical ones or whatever. But ever since like the S21 series, the optical ones, man, are, in my opinion, when you look at it from a standpoint of like security and speed, is pretty much the best that you can get. Like I even
The
went
only
and
thing
tapped them both and everything, and it was like miles different.
I think one thing people seem to forget is when they look back and they criticize the first generation of ultrasonic sensor, point out to me anywhere that's been a first generation technology and it's been executed without flaw,
Perfectly
you
right.
know?
Yeah. Yeah. It's
So
very
anything that's first generation is going to be ironing out a lot of kinks and whatnot. So When something's first generation, I give it a pass. You know, I'll give it leeway.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and that's what I'm saying. Go ahead, Galen. My bad. I didn't mean to cut you off, bro.
no problem, no problem. Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Personally, I wish they had put a fingerprint sensor on the side
I would
because
agree
I
on
do
that.
think having a
Yeah.
fingerprint sensor on the back would have been like comparable to the A series, which is like
Mhm.
the complete opposite of what you want to do when you're coming out with like a flagship phone that you haven't done like in a few years. So I think they should
Yeah,
on the side. That would have been so dope to me.
yeah.
Mhm.
I just feel like with this one, man, they wanted to really like. I mean, I don't know if show out is like the right word, but I feel like they wanted to tick as many boxes as possible. Because like
Mhm.
when you look
Exactly.
at from like the Pixel 5 to the Pixel 6 or the Pixel 6 Pro, it's such a drastic jump because you're going from something that was offered as like a mid-range device to like a flagship. So I kind of felt
Mhm.
like they were like, you know what? We got to check every single box. It may not be as good, but we got to at least check that box. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
like I said, I definitely can't wait to see where it's gonna be when we get 2 months, 3 months in terms of like the
Mhm.
software. Because like I said, and I don't want it to seem like I'm talking about the Pixel specific because the Pixel itself, the hardware isn't the issue in my
Mhm.
opinion. It's definitely the software and Android 12, and I
Yeah.
think everybody
Exactly.
universally has been saying like, yo, Android 12 has definitely had some issues.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's because they're doing like the whole major like rework of how everything's working. It kind of reminds me of for those who've used like iOS when we went from iOS 6 to iOS 7, how we had that major redesign and kind of major like from the ground up.
Mhm.
It was iOS 7 was probably like one of the worst received updates to any OS that I've ever seen,
Mhm.
in my opinion, because it was the design itself was already polarizing, and then the fact that the animations were slower, things took like way more clicks than iOS 6 to do, all kinds of stuff. So, like I said, I'm definitely not wanting to necessarily say like give them a pass. It's not about giving them a pass. I just like it's one of those things where it's like we have to say,
Show
okay,
some patience. That's all.
exactly, and
Yeah.
I think that that's the perfect way of saying it. It's like just
Mhm.
give it some patience, not necessarily a pass. Like definitely
Yeah.
speak your experience because if you don't say anything, nothing's gonna
Yeah.
change. You know
Exactly.
what I'm saying? But definitely on the reverse end, make sure that you're patient and you're like,
Yeah.
hey, give it about a month or 2 months or whatever to kind of see
Yeah.
where the device is. We shouldn't have to do that, but
I was gonna say
everybody does.
the
Everybody
best
does.
thing they could have did was price it the way they did, because
Yeah,
now, like, for me paying only $600 for it, I can hold on to this thing and just kind of weather the
facts,
storm and kind of
facts.
follow it along. Now if it was $1,000 and I'm like,
I
that's a
feel you.
tough pill to swallow, and I'm probably gonna want to send it back if there's too many of these issues going on.
Yeah,
So
facts,
Mhm.
facts. And just kind of what Trent was saying too. He was talking about how he doesn't, or sometimes he feel like he doesn't want to post the experience. And like I said, I've seen it, like him,
mhm.
T, Mike, all of them, man. And it's like, yo, like soon as they post something, it's just like boom, like everybody just. And
Yeah.
I get it. People want to defend it because of what the things that we're talking about, but like
Mhm.
keep in mind, like these are creators, and even Patar too. Like these are creators who don't want the device to fail. Like they
Mhm.
do not want the phone to fail. They want they want Android 12 to be the best that it
Absolutely.
can be. They
Now
want the Pixel to do great. So
I want
it's
to
like
bring up
just
some,
just
like, for
chill,
me.
just chill.
I know I feel like I was probably one of the first people that was saying that um when they dropped this with everything that it has that's going for it, the price and everything, they kind of got OnePlus up out of here. Now,
Mhm.
what I was going to say though is I remember when the 9 Pro came out, camera problems and whatnot that they had early on. I noticed a tiny bit of hypocrisy because I feel like a lot of people want to see the Google Pixel flourish and do great, which I do too.
Mhm.
Whereas the OnePlus, it has its camera issues, less resources to make a great camera than Google, but people tend to just be like, okay, forget OnePlus, get them up out of here. And like, I don't understand that. I kind of wish that people would have the same
Same
mindset as they
energy.
do with Google, as they do with
So
OnePlus, as they do with LG, as they do with all
I
these other
agree with you.
companies.
I
I
agree
feel
with you.
like OnePlus gets a bit more of a pass because Pixel's biggest selling point and its
By the way, I was gonna say
big
I've never
win.
seen OnePlus get a pass. Period. My bad. I didn't want to cut you out there,
Yeah,
but
no,
I've
I
never
Oh
haven't
no,
seen
no,
seen
it's
one
good.
plus
OnePlus
get a
pass.
pass.
In the sense of
They go in on OnePlus.
they
Hard.
they do, but I feel like it's worse for this Google Pixel because its camera, its stills
Mhm.
are its biggest thing.
You're right.
For years, they were its biggest strength. So when you come out with the next generation and your camera is essentially defunct, like WTF? How is your strongest point become one of your weakest?
Have you guys had
All
that
of a sudden.
same? So, because I don't know how far you guys got in the conversation. What were y'all experiences with the cameras?
So I'm gonna let Patar go because mine has been the
I know, no,
like
I
I said,
seen it.
I'm
I
not
heard
gonna.
Patar. I heard
Yeah,
Patar.
I was okay. Yeah, yeah.
I didn't
So
know
you heard
you
Patar.
or
Yeah.
Galen. I don't know what
So
you.
I can say for me personally, like man, like it's been 100% the opposite. Like I went out Thursday when I got it, and I went to Halloween Horror Nights, man. I dropped the video, you know, shameless plug, but I went ahead and dropped the video, man. And like I said, I took some amazing pictures. And then like even today, we went and took the kids like to like the little local pumpkin patch and stuff. And I haven't gotten any of those to post on social media, man. But like I said, in terms of the stills, like I'm taking some of the best pictures that I've ever taken on a smartphone, period, right now. And like I said, that's definitely just my opinion and in my experience. Now I'm not saying that the camera's by any means perfect because I have noticed a few things. I'm obviously saving them here for the review and all of that. But like I said, I've definitely noticed some things where I'm like, okay, it seems like they need to kind of iron these things out or fine tune or whatever the case may be. But I kind of look at it the same way I'm looking at Apple situation with their new sensors, because it's one of those things where it's like, I feel like Google's never worked with a 50 megapixel sensor, and the same way that Apple hasn't worked with larger sensors either. And I'm seeing issues on both. On my iPhone 13 Pro Max, I'm seeing extremely crushed blacks, you know what I'm saying, and literally no shadow detail whatsoever. And it's and I'm not trying to change this over to the iPhone, nothing like that.
No,
But
it's
like,
cool.
if I can see with my own eyes in the shadows and see some detail, but my iPhone is completely just crushing it, that in my opinion is 100% problem.
Now
Right?
I know.
So
I
go
was
ahead,
gonna say I know Barry kind of, because I call myself a novice with a lot of this photography stuff. I'm kind of learning as I go. But I remember Barry. I think Barry said it yesterday, as far as like with the crutch blacks versus like detail and whatnot. Like it's kind of a pick 'em. Like you're probably gonna get something. So if you're gonna crush the blacks, you're gonna have some detail in other areas. But you know, like you're not gonna get the shadow detail. But whereas another picture might have a lot of grain in the sky or whatever. So it's like you kind of want to pick in between.
Yo, and speaking on that too, I've noticed that when it comes to video too. Like when I shot the S21 Ultra versus the 13 Pro Max, and even with like early testing video with the Pixel 6 Pro, like I've noticed that I prefer the iPhone's video a lot of the times, strictly because like there's less noise and there's less grain. But kind of across the board, what I've noticed is that on Android, they tend to push that ISO up a bit. So, you know, like as you bring up that ISO, you're going to get more grain, you're going to get more noise. So even in that scenario where, even though I personally still find myself preferring the video on the iPhone, it's definitely a pick your poison. Because some people are like, well, it's way too dark, so nah, I'd rather just go with, you know what I mean, something on
I feel
Android.
like there's certain scenarios that work for the Pixel.
Yeah, exactly.
Where I would like the video over the iPhone.
Exactly. And I just feel like overall, man, like when it comes to smartphone cameras, like before, like when we had like the original Pixel and like the Pixel 2, it was like a clear Pixel takes best photos, like clear, right? But it's like now at this point, the entire rest of the industry has caught up. So it's one of those situations where it's not that the Pixel's camera isn't necessarily, you know, good or great. It's great, but it's just that other manufacturers are great in their own right. You see what I'm saying?
Now it's like 90% like a preference thing.
Exactly. And it's really like pixel peeping. Like if we didn't sit here and like pixel peep these photos, man, you honestly wouldn't be able to. I mean, aside from the things like color temperature, because you know iPhones tend to go more warm. Pixel goes more neutral. Galaxy is a little bit cooler. So it's like besides that type of stuff, man, like when it comes to actual like the technical aspects, like HDR and detail, sharpness, stuff like that, we honestly wouldn't be able to tell the difference, man.
That's how I feel
And
about.
that's a good place to be at.
Exactly.
I was gonna say that's how I feel
agree.
about. That's how I feel about the way that analogy you just made, as far as like I remember early Android. I would say Apple had better software earlier days. Now I'm playing around with the Pixel. I'm like, yo, there's so many elements to this experience that I prefer over the iPhone. Like and it's just now it's just it's caught up to now, like, so now it's
Yeah,
like
Yeah.
pushing the next company. They got to
Yeah.
do better. Every
Yeah.
company is gonna have to
And I
kind
love
of
it.
punch
I
back.
love it, bro. Because
Yeah.
like I said, like normally when it comes to like smartphones, man, like before this year, I can say I've always at the end of the year defaulted back to the iPhone. Like regardless if I tried the new Note or whatever Google threw out that year or whatever OnePlus threw out that year, like I was always gonna end up back on an iPhone, back with the Apple Watch, using a Mac or whatever. This is the first year where I could honestly see myself maybe sticking with the S21 Ultra or sticking with the Pixel 6 Pro. And that's not a knock to the iPhone. The iPhone's great, but it's just a situation where it's like we got so many options and so many different companies like making top-notch phones, man. I was talking to Delvian Digital on Twitter. And I was telling him like I can't pick a phone of the year. I was sitting here trying to think like, okay, what might be phone of the year for me? I can't pick one. I cannot pick one. Like every phone has some strong pros that I like, I love it. And then some has not deal breakers, but just cons where I'm just like, okay, that makes this other phone better. So for me this year, man, like there's honestly not gonna be a phone of the year for me. Like I may end up rocking the Pixel 6 Pro as my only phone, but that doesn't mean that I feel like this is phone of the year. Like there is no phone of the year for me, man.
I think I got two candidates, I would say, for
On
me.
that note, hold on one sec.
I got
On
two.
that
Oh, my
note,
bad. Go ahead.
we're gonna add another guest to the chat. This has
Let's
been completely
go.
random. Just message me on in the comments or whatever. I'm gonna add Trent in here.
Yo,
Hey.
Trent,
He's
what's
had the
going on,
Pixel a
man?
while. He's had the
All
Pixel
right,
a
Trent.
while.
Hello.
He's part of Team Pixel.
Hashtag Team Pixel in the building.
Good.
Yeah, he's had it a little longer for the rest of us. So I'm gonna let him share his experience now. So, how you doing tonight, Trent?
Oh, I'm doing good. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we
You're
can hear
good.
you. You're good.
Okay. So my experience with the Pixel has been kind of unique to a certain degree. So essentially, we found out about the Pixel, we heard about the leaks, and then they told us they're like, okay, there's something coming, such and such date. I got the phone a day later than everybody else. Took the phone out the box, started using it, and if like the first initial impressions was like, oh, this is cool. This feels like a Samsung device. And I remember asking like the previous year, I was like, please, can we get a 6.7-inch big display Pixel? I'm all for it. I'm ready for it. Just I didn't even know they were going to call it Pro. I just call it 6XL or whatever. And I got it, and I first impressions was in love with it. Started using it, and it would randomly get hot, not uncomfortably hot, but it would just be random. And I didn't even do any gaming tests or anything like that. It was just for whatever reason decided to get really warm, and then I'd restart it, it would get fixed. And then I said to myself, well, let me go ahead and make sure I test this whole 4K 60 thing before people say, oh no, the Pixel overheats at 4K 60. I actually recorded a video that was 20 minutes long in 4K 60. The only reason why I stopped was because I just got tired of watching the phone. So I'm like, okay, cool. They made some steps forward with that. And overall, like the phone is good. I like the 120 hertz, and I like the cameras. I like the video recording. I like the extra features that are involved and all that stuff. To me, my only issue, and I kind of said this publicly, was just it just wasn't consistent. One day I would have great battery life. The next day it would be terrible. And I'm taking this, phone back and forth to work. So sometimes I'll take into account, 5G signal and all that stuff. But then when I would use it at home, it would still have that same inconsistency. And I'm downloading updates, I'm reading what everybody else is saying online, and I think within the past 3 or 4 days I've had close to almost 20 some odd system UI crashes, and they're at random. They happen out of nowhere. I don't know what triggers them. I follow Barry's advice. I started reporting them to Google or whatnot. Haven't heard anything back. Crashed in YouTube. Crashed while I was making a tweet about the crash. and I posted that picture as well.
The irony.
That's funny, yo.
It's weird because system UI will crash, but nothing else will crash. So like YouTube won't crash, Twitter won't crash, but the first couple of days, even with the 120 hertz, the scrolling was just really choppy. Only in Twitter, so I don't know if that's an Android 12 thing or whatnot. And I just remember that before I had Android 12 and I had Android 11, I loved the experience. To me, it looked a lot better. Android 12 kind of feels like kindergarten OS, like something I would give to my kid or something. But that's my own personal preference. And so I'm just kind of lost here to where it's I could still say, hey, Pixel 6, $599, go grab it.
Right.
I kind of struggle with telling someone to go get a Pixel 6 Pro. I'll say, hey, here's my experience. Go look at everyone else's experience. If you still want to purchase it, cool. That's why the video I did, I said it's a good phone, but it's not a perfect phone.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's where I kind of left it with the review side. The Twitter side, though, the Twitter side has literally gotten me to the point to where I'm like, I don't want to talk about this thing anymore. And the reason why I don't want to talk about it is because I watch Twitter and I watch how people move. And what kills me is that I don't have a large following. I have almost 3K followers on Twitter, 7,000 subscribers on YouTube. I say something about the Pixel, you're doing it wrong, you're a hater, blah, blah, blah. You shouldn't even be reviewing phones, yada, yada, such and such. But when I go look at the comments and I go see that this person is following the same people I follow, and the same people I follow, they're tweeting about the Pixel 6. They're not going on to their post and talking about it. They're not demeaning them or talking down to them or being some type of way. And I'm like, okay, well, the other person that talked about their experience, which I guess you would consider to be negative, has over 100,000 subs. Another person who talked about it doesn't even talk about Android content. His primary content is Apple stuff. And he was sent a Pixel and he talked about it. And he was like, hey, this is where I feel about this and that. And it's kind of, whatever. No pushback. And so that's just been the frustrating thing for me. And I'm just like, I don't even want to talk about the damn thing no more.
Yeah, and I don't blame you, man. I was like I said, just from like the bird's eye perspective. Like I said, I'm not super big or nothing like that, but just like from like the bird's eye perspective, like what I'm kind of noticing on both sides is that kind of everybody's to a point now where it's all gotten heightened. It's like you got the people who are defending it, right? The reason why they're defending it is because they're having toxic fanboys from, say, Apple and Samsung, which there's fanboys everywhere. I'm not saying that Google doesn't have any, but I'm saying like they're so busy defending the phone against those particular fanboys all day because those fanboys are being petty. So they're heightened. And then you have the other people who are just, saying what they're saying. They got other people saying, well, you're using it wrong and you shouldn't be reviewing. So they're heightened. So then when they collide, it's like now everybody's kind of on a kind of like everybody's on a 20 when everybody should be down at like a 5. You know what I'm saying? So it's one of those situations where I just think that everybody just needs to calm down and first remember, like, yo, this is a phone. That's it. It's literally metal and sometimes plastic and glass. Like that's it. Like it is a smartphone. So at the end of the day, man, like just calm down. And just because somebody has one experience doesn't mean that it doesn't dictate your experience. So if you're that curious or you feel like, you know what I'm saying, they're using it wrong or whatever, go buy the phone yourself and see. If you don't like the phone, return it. You know what I mean? Like,
and it's funny, so many of these like aggressive people don't even have the phone.
Yeah, and that's honestly
not gonna buy it, and not gonna buy it either.
And that's the part that kills me, is because like you might have somebody who may not have like the best experience, but at least they put their money where their mouth was and was like, I'll at least give it a shot. And that's like, and like I said, that's not me taking up for Patar or for T who got sent one or Mike or whatever. That's just me keeping it real. You know what I'm saying? It's like, yo, if I'm gonna go out and drop $900 of my own money on this, or even if somebody sends one out to me, like I'm gonna give you the most unbiased and fair that I can, but I'm gonna tell you what issues I'm having, because if I don't do that and somebody goes out and buys it and they have those issues, they're like, well, bro, you didn't say anything. You know what I'm saying?
And that's your obligation if you call yourself a reviewer.
Exactly. Exactly.
So yeah,
exactly.
on that note, I got another guest in here. He just DM'd me on Twitter, so I'm gonna add him in here now. Probably already know who it is. My boy, one of the nicest people you'll ever meet on here. My boy Barry Johnson.
What's up?
What's up?
Hello,
Not sure if everybody can hear me.
With his presence.
Yeah, we can hear you.
But yeah. So I'm just following the conversation. But yeah, you're always gonna have people that are gonna come at you a certain way. So I think people know I've been running Android 12 since March. So it's clear as crystal why Samsung is literally doing everything they can to implement Material U into their setup. The only manufacturer that's really kind of pushing back that uses regular Android is going to be Sony. That's the only one. So I do acknowledge that there are some issues, but I do encourage creators to reach out to Google. I've been very upfront with that. And I've actually gone back and forth with Pitar. You can ask Pitar. I have not called him out of his name and stuff like that. The only thing I've told him is his photos look absolutely stunningly horrible coming out of that. Like realistically, the Nexus 6 to me is the only way I could reproduce those photos. If I pulled out my Nexus 6 and started to do that. So that's when it, was alarming to me. So I've been going back and forth with him just because I saw that. But I think what's happening with the Pixel is the following. No one really expected that Google was going to come out with this flagship design. No one expected they were going to come out with this price point. All right. So they are really, they've got the magnifying glass on them right now, so they're going to really have that. So, but I think it's our job as creators, and this is what D-Mims alluded to. If someone is showing me pictures and especially video, and it comes down to preference, let's be real. If you look at some comparisons of the 4XL and previous year's video, you'll see a little, almost like a robot-like glitch where it's like reacquire the stabilization. That is gone now. The 5 dropped it, and now you've got incredible video. But if you go side by side, like Ike was saying, it becomes a personal preference of, do I like the crushed blacks over here on the iPhone that I can never recover from? Or do I like the grain, the ISO that has been driven up on? So that's going to be a thing. But the thing that I will say, the 13 Pro Max stunned me, because I know everybody was like, and I kept saying, this is not the 12S. Everybody's like, this is a 12S, this is a 12S, this is a 12S. A lot of the iPhone people, what they did software wise that is unique to Apple was made it a 13. All right. But then when you looked at the stabilization on the main and the wide sensor, they took it to the next level, in my opinion. So when I saw Dobo's video of the stabilization on what you get from Pixel 6, I nearly lost it, because I'm like, this is the first Pixel that I could actually vlog with. I would not vlog with a 5. I would not vlog with any other Pixel, but I will do it with this Pixel 6.
Can I gush about video for a second? I don't like the gush because I got the video planned, but can I just gush about the video for 1 second?
Go ahead.
Yo, so I told y'all Halloween Horror Nights last night. No, was it last night? No, Thursday night, Halloween Horror Nights. So they have a show that they do, and yo, I'm not gonna say never, right? But like even with Samsung devices, which in my opinion, like I said, I haven't used much in terms of like imports, like the Mi 11 Ultra, the Vivo phone. I haven't used any of those, so I can only go off of what I've used. But even like with the S21 Ultra's video in low light, like as soon as you go to like medium to like low light, it literally looks like you got bugs crawling across the screen. Like it is honestly just not very good. Like it's just not good.
Mhm.
But yo, when I pulled out the Pixel to record, like because you can't record the show, but like the beginning of the show.
Oh, I
you
know what
see
you're talking about.
one-
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
my God.
Yes. Yes.
It was, and it's not so much enough that I'm saying it was so good because I'm saying it's better than the iPhone. I'm saying it's good because I'm looking at what we
Yes.
got versus the
Yes.
Pixel 5, which was last year's phone.
Yes.
They took like, okay, all I'm gonna say is this, and you know, iPhone people could be mad at me, whatever. If Google continues to keep pushing their video, how they're pushing their video, bro, it is going to be a
So
problem.
I can talk a little bit about the GM1 sensor. So that's a Samsung design. All right. And the reason being, so we know Google did not want to change sensors, but the problem with them not wanting to change sensors is they have to also look forward, right? So the rumor is the GN2, which they wanted to get, but Samsung's like, we got to hold this back. Is going to be on the S22. So what we're seeing with edge detection is simply just go out and take as many photos, everybody. Google dominates computational photography. They need your data so they can make a better photo. So that's the reason right now, when you get a picture from a creator that might even say that they don't even like the phone and you're stunned, you are literally stunned at the quality, it might not be in portrait mode when they do it. Portrait mode is going to take some time to get that computational photography. So you'll see the edge detection clean up over time. But they had to go GN1. Vivo has the GN1, and they're like, guess what? We are here to murk phones right now. If you've seen Juan Bagnell's video on it, the Vivo 70 Pro Plus is not playing.
Yeah,
Okay.
that thing is serious.
And just to say, TK Bay and Juan have this, and they said it Thursday. Of all these phones, there are things I like better. I can maybe get a better photo here on the 70 Pro. I can get a better here on the Pixel. They both have GN1s, but the thing that they keep saying is out of all the phones they have, the Sony Xperia, all of them, the phone they always go back to is the Pixel. So I really think Google has a lot to show right now for where we're going. And I apologize if people are really upset with each other and all that stuff, because I'm telling you, this is what I think people are missing is, even though I'm waiting for my 6 Pro, and by the way, and I apologize if I'm off color again, I don't know how you do it, but I'm gonna have 3 of them hoes. All right. I'm gonna have 3 of these hoes. All right. So I'm gonna have 1 6 Pro and I'm gonna have 2 6s. Okay. $600, everybody. Pre-order, it's $499.
Yep.
Google came in and said, guess what? We are changing the game, everybody. So with all this fighting with, oh, there's a bug here, I found this. I got a call from my niece, and this was right after buying a Scoop saved me. He's like, I was going to do the 1502 update on my 13 Pro Max. He's like, whoa, you're going to shoot this weekend. Don't do it. It kills battery life. I get a call. What happened to my battery life, Unc? What happened to my battery life, Unc? And I'm like, what are you talking about? So I said, hey, check your system update. I said, roll to 15.1. Go to 15.1. So, I mean, bugs happen everywhere. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna happen, whether they're first launch or whatever, but I just want everybody to get the conversation, enjoy where we're at. And if you see grain on the Pixel, point out the crushed blacks on the other stuff. Everything can improve. Keep the same energy, because I'm telling you, Google dropped it. I'm sorry. I am sorry. Google, this thing is $599. I mean, are we not seeing this? I mean, this is ridiculous. Like, I can't even tell a person to even think about buying the 5A. Just save. It's like, as much as I respect that device, get rid of the 5A. That thing is dead to me. It is about the 6.
Yeah. The way I was looking at it, I look at so much stuff through the eyes of a regular person. And most of the stuff that I was posting as far as bugs or issues or whatnot really wasn't from the creator standpoint. Because to be honest, I can deal with it to a certain degree. It's from the regular person. So if I put this phone in my mom's hands, she's going to be calling me twice a day about this phone.
Yeah, me too.
And it's either
Yeah.
because when regular people see that something crashed, they freak out. When I say freak out, they think I need to take this thing back to the store. There's an issue wrong with it. And even though that, a creator or somebody that's really into tech, they know, okay, it's not that huge of an issue. Calm down, do this, do that. Regular people don't go through that. And that's where I was more so, doing the reporting, but I was sharing the stuff, and I'm just like, okay, Google, you got to get this going, because I've been rooting for Google for a long time. I've been rooting for Google since the Pixel 2, back when everybody was complaining that if you looked at the phone at the wrong angle, it has a blue shift or whatever. And I'm like,
the blue
no one gives a shit about that, but
facts.
everyone lost their minds. So
People have been saying it about the Pixel 6, but realistically, are you
Yeah.
going to hold your phone there and be like,
That's
no,
how I
you're
look
not.
at it.
So
right.
it's a really
Straight on.
pointless criticism.
Yeah, and
I agree.
I've been on this for years, and you ever run into somebody that you've been rooting for so long, and they finally turn the corner, but when they turn the corner, they mess something else up. It was like year after year after year, Google was software. Never had an issue with their software. It was their hardware that always seemed to lag behind, or always used to get the criticism. They came out with the 6, and the 6, I'm like, okay, finally, they did it with the hardware, and then this year there was software, and I'm just like,
yeah.
and
I just want to make sure everybody, I just want
everybody.
everybody to, hear me too. We're running Android 12 since March on 4 phones. Got the Pixel 6. The only problem I have is YouTube Studio, and that's a developer problem. Not having system UI crashes. If you look at the logs from Sam Mobile, they actually show some of the system UI that they were seeing on Android 12 as well. So I'm sorry that people are having issues, but I feel absolutely confident of giving this. My wife is the least technical. She's the complete opposite of me. If I'm engineer, she's the opposite. And guess what? She's running Android 12, and she's gonna be rocking a Pixel 6. Have all the confidence in the world.
It's just always tough, man. Like when you have such a it's like when you have a device that has such a divisive experience.
Oh yeah, and that's the reason why I said.
Gets tough.
And that's the reason why I said, you know what? I didn't spend money on the Duo, so I just got to drop it and just make sure, because I'm been trying to like feed back what I've had since March, but since I didn't have a 6, people were not really hearing what I'm saying. So I'm gonna have, like I said, I'm gonna have 3 of them hosts. You know what I'm saying? That way I can just make sure I do my due diligence, feedback what I need to feedback to Google, because I'm not having those experiences. And I want to make sure if I have 3 devices, maybe I will. You know what I'm saying? I can have them at different updates and stuff like that.
Because that's definitely the biggest thing for me. It's like if you're gonna talk about bugs and the issues and this is crashing, that's crashing, as long as you're reporting them and trying to be a part of the conversation to work toward a solution, I'm 100% good. But if all you're gonna, but it's like if all you're gonna do is just post stuff up on Twitter, you're not reporting it to Google, you're not doing any of that, then it's like you're not even trying to solve.
That's what I'm saying. And this was my
right?
point. This was my point. I have fellow creators that trust me, and they're like, and I'm a small dude, all right, but they literally will send me like the full screen bug that iPhone has, where you're sitting there and think about it, we buy these big screens to use full screen, and they're like, I can't, YouTube won't, all this stuff won't go full screen. How did you solve it? So I go through and I tell them how I fix it. I'm not going to Twitter and saying, oh my God, the iPhone sucks because I had this problem.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Oh my God, you know what I'm saying? I don't get that. Doesn't help anybody. Because the thing is, the thing that we are missing here is, like I said, I'm sorry that this phone is $600 and is just wrecking havoc out here with what they're bringing to the table. But let's be real, like every phone has issues, and we need to make sure that everybody vets everything so we can continue to get better product. Because I'm telling you, there is a board meeting right now going on because of this value. The people are talking about this. You know what I'm saying?
I'm gonna put it like this: if you literally have a situation where Google themselves is already saying they're seeing 6 times the demand of what they expected.
Correct.
If you go and try to go pre-order right now, you're not getting a phone until early January. People want it, and it's not just us as in the tech enthusiast. It's not just us. It's not just us.
Everyone.
People know about the Pixel, which is good.
Oh yeah,
like I said,
and
with them, it makes the competition better for everybody.
And I think everybody. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I really tip my hat to Google for going hard and hitting all the nails on the head for the marketing for the 6 Pro. Like, I have seen a 6 Pro or a Google Pixel 6 advert in every nook and cranny when I've been around the UK. And that's not London, that's the UK.
That's awesome.
You know, adverts, TV, YouTube, TV shows, billboards. Everybody knows what a Pixel 6 is, and that's a real first.
And the thing that people don't understand is like, okay, because people are looking at it, well, it's not better than this aspect in Samsung or on Apple or whatever. But it's like what you have to keep in mind is in the areas that it is stronger, since Google came out with something like this for $900 and undercut everybody, it's now going to make Samsung and Apple go back to the drawing board and say, yo, for $1,100, for $1,200, we better make sure we nail it, because they're nailing it at this price point.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
So it's like, yo, like, man, like stop taking it as people are trying to say, well, this is the best phone overall, because nobody's saying that the Pixel 6 Pro is the best phone overall. Nobody's saying that. What people are saying is like, yo, they need to take note on what Google is doing in certain aspects and seriously bring it, because if Google comes out with a phone like this for this price point, Samsung can't come out with an S22 Ultra that has
gonna be a hard sell.
It's gonna be a hard sell. It's gonna be a hard sell.
Exactly.
It's gonna be a hard sell.
Exactly my point. And Samsung's gonna have to bring it. It's a blessing in disguise that my 6 Pro was, because I knew this had the GN1. I knew it had the same thing. It was just missing the telephoto. But I would have just set it up for my wife, gave it to her, and kept it moving. You know what I'm saying? So now I'm like that $900 price point. I gotta put this in the conversation now. I gotta put this. It's a $600. It's like it's ridiculous, man. It's like, I don't know. I know where you're going with this, Ike, because I feel the same way. It's gonna be tough to pick the phone of the year, because I'm telling you, the 13 Pro Max has good battery life. The rear sensor are good. You know, right now, unfortunately, indoor you have to turn off smart HDR, so you lose your 10-bit. I literally turned that off completely.
You have to, but see what I do, and that's not good for someone that is taking, like the average person that gets it. And it's like, why
be on by default?
Exactly, it's gonna be on by default. So when they're outside, it looks good, and then they come in and it's like, why does it look crap on the indoors? But I just toggle that, right? But I'm not going to go to, and say, oh, well, this sucks. It's like, no, I'm going to utilize this. And I can look at what's strong with the 13. So I'm like, the 13 looks good. I had a great experience with Mi 11. I've got this now it's $600. I've got a couple other phones that just showed up that are secret. You know what I'm saying? That, man, I'm just telling you, this is a great time to be alive, man. Just enjoy the tech.
I really love smartphones.
Oh my God. It's like
this year, and I was thinking to myself, and I was talking to the missus, and she's like one of the most like least tech inclined people overall, but she was talking to me, she's like, yo, I've never seen you this excited, and I even just talking about the Pixel, and I even just talking about the Pixel, but she's like, I've never seen you this excited over the course of a year talking about smartphones, because I had such a great experience with the iPhone, such a great experience with the S21 Ultra, such a great experience with the Fold. Like, if someone literally came to me and held a gun in my head and was like, you can only pick one phone for the next 4 years, bro, I would be dead. Dead serious. Because smartphones this year, smartphones this year, bro, are so good.
They are so
I got
good.
Ike literally said, on my life, I can't pick.
I can't pick, bro. On my life. If I picked one, bro, I would be lying. I would be lying.
So I'm telling you, before this showed up, I knew I couldn't pick one. I knew like I was like, I need like a couple of weeks and all that stuff. But man, I'm telling you, it's a great time to be alive. It is a great time to be alive.
Like Wayne and Ike were saying earlier, is literally a preference thing. Like, you can pick. You can pick
and,
about from about 3-4 different companies right now.
Yeah.
It's
and
a
like
preference thing.
and not to gas up Juan too much because we already be gassing up Juan a lot, but he deserves it. He
Oh
deserves
no,
it.
he deserves
Just
the
to
gas.
kind of
Go
gas
ahead.
him, but just to kind of gas him up a little bit, I feel like that's why channels like his are. You know what, GG? Let me live. I know I cheated. I know I cheated and picked 2
Oh yeah,
phones. I
yeah,
know.
too.
Let me
But
have it.
you know what? That
For
was a
Eric's
precursor. That was a
collab.
precursor. No, that
What
was
was
a
your two? What was
precursor
your
to
pick?
now.
What was your
No,
pick?
Yeah, it was.
Ike, that was a
13 Pro Max,
precursor this
Pixel
year.
6 Pro. Yep. But back to what I was saying about Juan. But that's why I feel like channels like his are so valuable because
Oh, they're
Juan's
valuable.
not saying because Juan's not saying, you know, Surface Duo 2. You know, cool concept, but nobody in the mainstream will buy this. No, he's saying, let me find out what niche and what
Correct.
consumer this device is for. There's something out there for
Exactly.
It's not about
everybody.
always.
Oh yeah,
appeasing
and I'm
mainstream
and
crowd.
I'm telling you that's what I appreciate about him too, because I knew he would like the software better on the Pixel 6 Pro, but when he was comparing it to the Vivo with also the GN1, he didn't go, oh well, it's GN1 is going to win this because it's got a lot of deep, pro mode. I can change all this stuff.
Yeah.
He went through a serious evaluation. He's like, hey man, there's reasons why I picked the 6.
You got this.
There's reason why I picked, so that's how he is, man.
And it's kind of scary, like he's saying that already. This is the second generation Vivo did that with the GN1. They also
Correct. It's the
GN1.
The 60. Yeah,
And
exactly.
This is Google fresh, brand new sensor.
Oh yeah, and Juan would hit me in the DM. If he was like, hey man, that Pixel 6 is behind.
Crazy.
You see what I'm saying? He would already hit. Like he's not saying that. He's like, this is Gen 1. And we haven't even had the algorithm running on computational photography because there hasn't been enough out there.
Right.
And he's like, I'm liking what I'm seeing.
That's what I'm hearing a lot.
Another reason why I'm like, when DirectTech was posting all of his photos, I'm like, Jesus Christ, those are bad. You can ask, but I was just like, your photos are the most hot garbage photos I've ever seen on a Pixel.
And I really am trying to.
Oh, I know you are. You know me. Have I ever come to you and said you're not trying to get? I haven't done that at all.
I wasn't trying to imply.
I said I was like, contact Google. I was like, man, you got to contact Google or something.
I ain't gonna lie. I probably would have returned, or
because I'm telling you this. Real talk, everybody. My wife is an iPhone user. She kept the Pixel to do like selfies and stuff like that for Instagram. I told her to return the iPhone 11 because her iPhone 11 was broken. There was a issue with some of the lens hardware that came out when you got at first release that Apple never fixed, and you had to go in those first couple of weeks. She's now switching to the Pixel full time. She doesn't want the 13 Pro Max because she can't take a good photo with the 11.
Yeah, like I said, man, it's Ray, you crazy for that. We ain't throwing Surface Duo in the trash. I still got my Gen 1 and 11. Bro.
Hey, man, that Surface Duo is fire.
Yeah, I love the concept. I just think with the Duo, man, we got to wait to see what it looks like when they decide to run whatever they're really trying to. Because I feel like Android is like a stopgap. I feel like a Duo in a few years is not going to be running.
Oh, Android. I don't think it's going to run Android.
Yeah, I think it's going to be running some side version of Windows. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
But yeah, man, like I said, this is back to the. Oh, go ahead, Trent. Go ahead.
I was gonna say real quick. Has anybody here worked in retail or customer service?
Well, so my whole job is support. So I'm always
same here.
Well, I mean, like consumer retail, like Best Buy, stores and stuff like that. So
okay, go ahead.
So the reason why I just wanted to lead with that is because it's going to explain to my mindset is when I look at the average person, I look at everything. I look at the phone. I look at what they do, don't do. I even look at the experience, the buying experience, the lasting impressions of a product. So, for example, I don't want to mess around with Samsung again because I had a horrible experience with them. Now, is there a possibility that there is the possibility of it happening again? Very low, absolutely low, but it was a big pain point for me. But the same thing goes with phones. I'll use my mom, my dad, anybody else, for example. If they're going to go get a phone, any phone, iPhone, Google phone, whatever, they're most likely going to a carrier store. They're most likely going to have to trade in their older phone to get the deal. They're gonna have to sit there and talk to somebody, drive out there. There's a whole process to getting phones for a lot of people who just don't go through the internet and get their stuff shipped to them. And part of that issue, part of that pain point is when you actually have to go and return a phone, and then you have to sit there with the rep and explain what happened, and sometimes you even have to show them what happened. And when you go through that, it makes you not want to mess with that same brand again. And
Definitely.
I've been on the other side of that where people have brought back iPhones that they had an issue with because Apple dropped an update that was so horrible. And I think it was like iOS 13 or something that went terribly wrong and messed up people's stuff. And people were like, no, I don't want to deal with this again.
All it
Go get me a
takes,
Samsung, go get me a Google. And so my thing is for the customer and their experience, that's where I say to Google or Apple or whatever is that nowadays with competition being as fierce as it is, you only get one shot, one impression. And while we may be willing to wait for an update, while we may be willing for it to get better, the person that's dropping $300, $400, $500 of their hard-earned money on something, if it's not perfect out of the gate,
Right.
I can't blame them.
Yeah,
And so that's
I
where
agree.
I'm just like, hey, I will share the good, I will share the bad. I have no allegiance whatsoever.
I was gonna say
all
that.
it
Yeah.
takes
So
is one bad experience.
let me just say this real quick. So my whole company does. We might not be in consumer electronics, but we have the same thing. That goes for any phone. It's like you said, any phone, and I'll just give you an example. I rocked the Mi 11, part of Mi Mafia, and I forgot about this when it happened. So when LaShawn and I first got it, Xiaomi was putting a lot of updates because they had overheating out of the box before me and LaShawn got it. But there was one major update that was coming before they went to 12.5. So it was on a Sunday. So I had updated on Saturday. I was in front of LaShawn, and it was Sunday around midday. My Xiaomi Mi 11, $800. I have to, it's not one of those things where I can take it to a store, right? It's just got it from never MSRP. It just out of nowhere just completely shut off. No, I mean, no like warning. It was just like and then all of a sudden I saw it booting again. So I was like, what the? So I was like, let me watch it. So by the time I talked to LaShawn the next Friday, he's like, hey, has your Xiaomi rebooted? I was like, nah. He goes, man, I'm thinking I'm gonna go ahead and return my Mi 11 while I got a chance. I was like, he goes, so what did you? And he explained it exactly. And I go, oh, hey, that was the update that just happened. So I agree, but I just want everybody to understand. I'm sorry that you guys are going through this. Like I said, I've got multiple devices running 12. My wife is running 12, and she's not technical. But that's going to be everybody. And I will say, as a company that develops products, we can all sit here and say, I hope every phone, I wish iOS didn't have the battery issue on a phone that's been out for a long time, but it was killing everybody. Mm-hmm. It's not going to happen. There's too much going on with these phones that as tech people, we can try to educate the public. Like, hey, there might be some hiccups here and there. It shouldn't be major, like what DirectTech, like he's describing. And Trent, you've kind of described, like I've saw some of your posts, like an unusable phone. You know what I'm saying? So it shouldn't be like that. But like for me, is YouTube Studio. Everything else is absolutely flawless. And I'm just waiting for the edge detection algorithm to get updated from the computational photography. So I've been loving it.
When it comes to apps, it's early. Developers haven't had a chance to optimize for the OS. That's fine. I can give that a temporary pass. While developers catch on and optimize for Android 12. What I find hard to forgive, and I can only base it again off of my experience with this Pixel. Maybe I got a lemon. I don't know. Is the instability I'm having like if let's say I was an average person, right? And much like Trent's point,
Mhm.
if I was the average person and this was my experience, I'd be
Mhm.
fuming, I'd be raging, I'd be walking
Yeah.
in the store
Yeah.
take this POS back
Mhm.
and get me something that works. Because it really does take, you know, long before I was into tech and I had that experience with a Samsung S8, I hit the roof. You know, I'm like
Mhm.
18, 19. I don't have the money to get a new one and it's going wrong. It will forever sour your relationship. And one of the reasons it gets to me is because I really care about Pixel.
Now, I got a question. I'm
Um,
sorry to stop you. I'm gonna let you finish, but Peter, did you ever reach out to Google like when you were having I saw your post and me and you went back and forth.
yeah, I have
What you
reached out to them.
described, what you described, and I think it seemed like everything was going well with Trent up until maybe Thursday, if I'm correct. Did you reach out to Google and just say, "Hey, man, what's up?"
I filed
Holla
bug
at me.
reports with them. I filed bug reports.
Okay, so you just went through the tips and support and then did that stuff.
Yeah.
Because it, like I'm telling you, like I would have factory reset, I would have done all this stuff.
Yeah, done that.
So,
Done that.
oh, I didn't say you didn't. I'm just saying, like, so here's the thing. Primary always. Whether it's phone of the year or not, primary always. This is my moneymaker right here. Okay. I'm on call pretty much all day long from my clients. Okay. And this is what I trust. I can't have system UI crashes. I can't have any of that stuff. It just can't happen. So that's the reason why, like, I felt bad and felt obligated to say something to you, because it's like, I'm sorry you're going through this, because like I said, I've been rocking it since
It's
March.
consumer electronics.
You know?
It can happen. I understand that, you know. You're not always going to get a perfect experience. It's a mass-produced product. These things can happen. For all I know, I could have software that's corrupted.
Mhm.
It could be any number of things. That's why I said in my video, I don't want to review it right now. I don't feel like it has a fighting chance, and I would be doing myself a disservice and my audience, most importantly, by reviewing a product that isn't strong enough right now, at least the one in my hands, to be reviewed. I'm going to be unnecessarily bashing a device that doesn't deserve it. So I'm going to stay on top of the news. I'm going to stay on top of how it developed, the situation is developing. And when I feel like this device is good enough to come back to me for a fair review and I can give it a fair chance, I'll bring it back and we'll give it a review. I don't want anyone thinking I flat out hate this thing. I don't. I really like it. I think the design is great. I think, like you said, for $5.99, this thing is ridiculously good. For $5.99, it's ridiculously good. And they've put a whole lot of other Android manufacturers, on alert. So kudos to them. And one of the things I did say in my video as well was, I see the vision, I see the intent, and I'm more than willing to wait, because I think when it does come to fruition and it does come good,
You'll buy it again. You'll buy it again.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I love Pixel. I really appreciate the functionality and thought that goes into their software and the reliability of their camera, which is why it kind of blows my mind I'm having the experience I am.
Hey, real talk. I am mind blown, because like I said, the worst photos probably ever posted on a Pixel go to you, because like I'm looking at everybody that has never even had no, it is you can just look at Twitter. There are people that's their first time, they've hit me up, hey, I'm coming from my iPhone, all that stuff, and they're just like pretty much throwing their phone in there, taking photos, and it looks decent, and yours look absolutely stunningly horrible. It's amazing, and that was the reason I was like, reach out to Google, because I'm like, you went back to Nexus 6 days of horrible.
It was bad, and it's like
I think I said it to you. I was like, it was like Pitar was like, I'm gonna drive fast for 48 hours, have a seance, and then pray to God, please give me the worst photos ever known to come out of Pixel.
Yeah.
You literally was like, when they made the decision on the Nexus 6P and integrated all that stuff for the 6P, and they started doing the computational photography, and we thought it was all Huawei, like you were like, nah, I need to go those days. I need that. Bad. I gotta have
it on there
bad.
as a joke.
Yeah. Because I'm like, are you sure they're from? I'm like, this is crazy. Like, it's like,
I will say though, I really do tip my hat to them for the video.
The video is unbelievable. Oh
yeah,
my gosh.
I mean, yeah, if you guys look at these photos, so I've gone out 3 nights in a row, trying out the night sight. And if we like that picture there, right? If you had the full res image, the garage and all of that down there is actually pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
But as soon as you come to anything near like a light source or anything bright, it
Mhm.
loses its mind. It goes Super Saiyan on it. So I don't
Insane.
get what's going on with it. Basically any sort of light, it doesn't like it, and the white balance is a real problem. I've taken pictures indoors, like you said, try indoors. I took some pictures of my dog on the sofa, and there's like a really, if you look at like the corner of the frame, there's like a really white hue coming in.
So
Not that one.
That's the best photo that I've seen that you.
That was the only good photo.
That was the only good. I was like, wow, and that's still bad compared to what everybody else is getting.
Yeah, again, see, what I was trying to get at in that caption for that photo there is I've taken that picture of my dog Tyson there before with the Pixel 3a XL, which was a single lens with a low-end 600 series Snapdragon. I've taken it with 4XL and the 4a 5G, and all three of them have better results. And again, I'll put my money where my mouth is. I'll trawl through my Google Photos and show you, which is why, because I've had them for so long.
Petar, let's real talk. That's the best photo.
Oh, it is. Yeah, absolutely.
You like I said, you were gonna win that bet, dude. Like I would have to break out Nexus 6s. I would have to bring out my old Nokia Windows phones. I mean, like I really would have to work hard to like your photos. You've proven that they're horrible.
Yeah,
they're garbage.
And I was just gonna add to it too. And like I said, it always, because like both sides of the argument is not argument, but just both sides of the conversation is right. Like Barry, I 100% get, like I said, what you're saying. Like it's on us to ultimately make sure that people understand and know what's going on. Because as tech reviewers, it's like all we can do is give our positives, our cons. I'm not trying to sell you anything. I'm gonna just tell you my experience, and you make a decision. But like I said, at the same time, to what Trent and Patar are saying too, it's like it's like Google's already fighting an uphill battle, especially going into like the carrier store. They're already fighting an uphill battle because you walk in, you got Samsung and Apple plastered everywhere. They've already used those devices, so it's kind of like deal with the devil, So the last thing you want is for that customer to say, you know what, I'll go ahead and try a Pixel for this one time, whatever, just to see what all the hype is about, what's going on. And they end up having that kind of experience. And they're like, yo, I can see why I need to spend an additional $200 or $300 for the Samsung or the Apple, because then I don't have these issues. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of one of those things where it just ultimately comes out. It's just tough.
So, can you show this? Hold on. Let me see this. Hold on. Real quick.
If you look at this one here, right, look at the shadow detail. Look how blurred I am. I look like the Blob Man, like the Michelin Man, right?
I was talking about the shadow.
I mean, look, the iPhone's crushed the blacks. That's a given. And it really does make me mad.
Was this night sight? Was this night sight?
Yeah, this was night sight.
Yeah. So that's again, that's what I said to you on a post. That's, it's gonna be, do you choose grain or you choose crushed black? And I'll just say this, and I'll go. Go
ahead.
I'm probably the opposite of people. Night sight is awesome. I'm glad they're working on it. It's such a cool feature, but I really don't want to use it. To me, I want to use it when I'm just not going to have an opportunity to get the photo. I still think on both sides it's over processed. I understand why most people always pick the Pixel, because when you crush the blacks, you can never recover the details in post.
I'm really not a fan of
you see what I'm saying? Black. Oh, I know you can't be. You can't be, because you can't get the right picture from it. But having said that, did you take any like maybe dust photos where you didn't have to use night sight?
No, I haven't. But I can do that tomorrow. That's not a problem. Before
I would think you should, if you because you return it on Monday, if you can go into like outside of your house, because those are familiar surroundings, go into like a store or something like that, take photos, maybe have light, or just go outside walking through the neighborhood, take photos. But then at dusk also, I'd be curious just to see.
Just what I was gonna kind of add to that portion too, when it does come to like night sight and stuff like that too, like I've noticed, like using the 13 Pro Max and then using the Pixel, when it comes to that exposure time, when you use night sight, it's exposing that shot. It's almost like what Samsung does too, where they
Correct.
almost give you too much time. And I can't
Correct.
remember whose video I was watching.
Yeah.
Yes,
It's almost
they
like
give
they
you
give you too much time
too
to
much.
hold it still. And it's like no matter
both of those
how no matter how stable you hold your hands,
Yeah,
if you're a surgeon, you're gonna have micro movement because you're
Yes.
human. You can't hold
Yeah.
it perfectly still. So it's like since the iPhone isn't taking as long of an exposure, you may get a sharper shot, but that sharper shot's gonna be darker because it's not as long
Correct.
exposed. Whereas the Pixel, it's gonna be brighter, but it may not be as sharp because you're trying to sit there and hold
Correct.
it
And I
still.
think
You know?
I think there are some reviewers that, especially the camera channels that get a hold of them, what they'll do is they'll take it handheld so you can see it, but then they'll put them on a tripod. You see what I'm
then-
saying?
By the
So
way,
they're
the
pure,
two.
context, all of my photos were on a tripod to give them
Okay.
the best possible chance.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Well, like I said, man, all in the end, man, all you can do is just
all you can do,
talk
like I
about
said,
your
yeah.
experience. And like I said, I'm not mad at you. Like I said, if anything, I have respect just for the fact that one, you went ahead and bought the phone because it's not like me, either.
a
me
lot
or
of
you
people,
are onto
yeah.
Pixel because a lot of
So,
people are just looking at other people's stuff and
and they're making their own decision.
Exactly.
I'm never gonna judge a phone if I haven't owned it because
exactly.
how can I judge something I don't own?
Facts. So like I said, I have respect
real quick,
for that aspect.
I'm gonna say this because I got to hop off in a little bit.
Okay.
The other issue with returning phones for a lot of people in America, I don't know where everybody else is watching, especially with carrier stores, is that a lot of these carrier stores, unless you can show them what the issue is, they will hit you with a restocking fee.
Correct.
And
See, that's not a thing here.
That's something.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like that's I have a different perspective than from other people, but just simply because I got the Samsung Galaxy Flip and I was using it, but I just didn't like the battery life on it. To me it seemed kind of weak, and I'm like, this is kind of expensive, so I'm gonna take it back. I had to think for 2 days, minimum $70 return fee, and I was just like,
correct.
I had to eat that cost,
Yeah.
and I couldn't even exchange it. So even when I went back, they're like, hey, if you exchange it, we still got to charge you. So I paid $70 to test drive this phone, essentially.
Correct. That's what you did.
And then
yeah, it's sort of like the 12 mini and the SE. There's a lot of returns because absolute hot garbage battery life. So people get it expecting they're getting that iPhone experience, and then it's like, I got to return this because I can't get good battery life with it. Who wants? It's 2021. Who wants to carry a battery pack? Come on, let's be real.
Right. And so that's why I just I share what I share, so we don't have to get to that point. So if you have any questions, if you're on the fence, now if you want to buy something, you're just going to go out and buy it. You don't care what I say, you don't care what anybody else, you're going to buy it. But for those people who are on the fence of, should I buy this now? Should I wait? Maybe I should figure out something else. This is the type of stuff that you want to hear. Or, for example, if you're someone who's having issues, right? And you think, okay, maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm the weird one. Maybe I'm doing something crazy. But then you go online and you see, okay, well, this person is having an issue. That person is having an issue. At least you're not 100% crazy.
Right.
Because that's the worst feeling in the world when you're using a product. I mean, for example, Apple Watch 6. I bought the Apple Watch 6 when it first came out, and I'm like, the battery life on this sucks. Every single review on this watch was praising the hell out of this watch, but I couldn't find anyone else saying that the battery life was bad, because I would expect a watch to last 24 hours, especially if it can save my life. But no, it's great. It's awesome. It's great. And then it wasn't until I made a video saying that the Apple Watch battery life is trash that I had a huge influx of people come into my comment section. They're like, yeah, how are we on Apple Watch 6 and it doesn't last 24 hours? It should last at least, 48 hours. So at least at that point, I'm like, okay, you know what, from now on, no matter how I feel, I'm just going to call it like it is, because there's possibly somebody else out there that's going through the same thing.
Okay, yeah.
Nice.
Well, I guess maybe we could all, like with Apple or when they have all their stuff or other.
Yeah, and
just
that's
put
my
it out
thing.
there.
And that's my thing. Like as long as we're gonna keep the same energy.
That's what I'm saying.
That's
because
always been
that's why the reason
argument
why I say
personally.
that's the reason why I'm saying that, because I see a lot of energy towards the Pixel Buds. And there's a lot of people that I've responded to, and Peter knows, right? Peter is one of the few. When I mentioned the Black Crush, the bug, he goes, "Oh yeah, you right? You didn't go, oh no, I don't see it, right?"
No,
You were
it's
like,
a
"No,
very
it's
real
a problem.
thing.
It's a real problem, right?"
It's
But
a very real problem.
when you respond to a lot of
conversation.
people and you tell them about the iOS 15 bugs, like, "Hey, let's have the same energy," and they're like, "I don't see bugs on iOS."
You got to keep it. Look,
I'm like, are
when
you
people
serious
say
right
that,
now? I mean,
yeah.
like literally every firmware, one of the things that if you read under there what's being updated, it talks about the bug fixes.
Known bugs,
Yes.
bug fixes, and then
So
known
it has
bugs that are
bugs.
still going on.
Exactly. I had an XR that for about a year, like if I tried to, like if I was in a live chat, no matter what thing I was in, whether it was Teams or something like that, it had issues. YouTube just taking the keyboard input. It was a known bug that ended up getting fixed. So it's not like it's only the Pixel is having this issue.
And then I got a question too, Barry, because like I said, if anybody, you and LaShawn and Galen, like y'all would know for sure when Google does their security updates every month, because I know like Samsung does do it, where they'll not only fix bugs, but they'll sometimes throw in features. And I know that Pixel has, and I know that Pixel has the Pixel drop every 3 months. But do they have something where like regularly every security update they'll add new features? Or is it
absolutely. So it was happening. No, it was happening all the way through the 12 betas. And what happens is when we get features, and this goes for every phone, it goes for the devices we make. When you add a new feature, there's always a possibility. The firmware team always knows there's a possibility to break an old feature. It's just guaranteed something else will break, and then so that's always a possibility, and then you'll get another update that says fix this, blah, blah, blah,
and then something else could.
Exactly.
Yeah, and like I said, from that perspective, like I said, it makes perfect sense. As long as a community, like I said, we're just all keeping the same energy. If we're gonna say OnePlus this, Samsung that, it's got to be the same thing across the board. Like I said, the device is great. It's not perfect. No device is perfect, but like I said, as long as when Apple drops theirs, that we got to keep the same energy too.
What gets me is I spoke to Danny Wingett about this Black Crush issue, and I was like, look, you're a YouTuber who's specifically known for your camera reviews. You have the potential to have sway with Apple. Is it something they're aware of, or is it deliberate? And apparently it's deliberate. That Black Crush has been consistent from day one. And I think Apple are happy about it.
You know why they're happy? You know why they're happy about it?
It's something to change next year.
No, it's not because it's something to change. What happens is when you do what Google does and you expose, when you introduce grain, the first thing that your mind goes is bad
picture, because you see
bad picture. Grain. To the average consumer, when they see Black Crush, they don't see any of the bad. They just see this beautiful black jumping off, and then the center subject is going here, whereas someone that is really into photos is going to go,
they're going to look at the whole picture,
because that might be the look. I want to color grade this and all this stuff, but I can't do anything with this because you ruined the photo.
So that's
a very fair point.
Yeah,
exactly.
Especially when it comes to their
night mode,
because
it's a trade-off.
Apple's always been known for, with their night mode, they want to keep it as night as possible. Rather than
true
to light.
Their
whole approach is true to light.
Exactly. And there's nothing wrong with that.
And they even do it. They even do it in the videos too. Like if you look at the videos, I think it was Danny Wingate. You see it with the video. They do the same thing.
Yeah, and the video was the same way.
And the thing that we should do is obviously express our frustrations to both companies, right? Because that's just going to move it forward, right?
Yeah.
But if we are into tech, right, we've got multiple tools for the job. That's how I look at it. It's like I can pull out the 13 in this situation. I can pull out, because I'm gonna tell you, instead of beating everything up, this is what camera people do. They're like, oh, I need this full frame for this situation. I need my hybrid for this. They have multiple camera, multiple lenses, and all that stuff. And we will soon get there, right? We will soon get. We are getting closer. The 13 and the Pixel, we are knocking on the door, but there's still going to be corner cases, you know.
Yeah, and not even just that. I think ultimately too, what, and I mean, I'm not leaving Samsung out of this equation.
Oh yeah, no,
You
no,
know,
yeah, sorry, yeah, Samsung is bringing it. Samsung is bringing
I
it.
don't want anyone to think that I'm doing that.
No,
But I'm just speaking specifically to Pixel and iPhone for the moment, because they really updated their sensors this year, where Samsung kind of they just improved on what they have for the most. I mean, it is a new sensor, but for the most part, same 108, blah blah blah, whatever. But with the iPhone and the Pixel, their sensors that they're using, I feel like aren't gonna necessarily be dramatically changed going like if that makes sense. Like they're not going to be looking to go from 50 or on the Pixels 50. They're not going to be looking to go from 50 to say 200 megapixels next year or anything like that. So
yeah,
I feel like
I
what
agree.
we have right now is kind of how you look at video game consoles when they first come out. Like PS5 right now, there's no games on the market that is fully taking 100%
advantage of the hardware
what it can
Thank
offer.
you.
But
Thank you.
but as the console ages,
Correct.
you'll start to see more next gen games that's taking a little bit more power.
Correct.
A little bit more power. It's the 100% the reason why people say the best time normally to buy a new gaming console is either in the middle of its lifespan or the end, because people are really getting every advantage and every power out of it. So to me, in my honest opinion, the sensor on the iPhone and the sensor on the Pixel are kind of not really overkill, but over.
Yeah, for what we need, exactly where we're gonna go. It's a great time.
So that
I wanted
in
to
my
say
opinion
is,
gets me super excited. In my opinion,
I feel like in the tech community, quite often you see people going specs. I want specs.
Yeah.
I want 200 megapixels. And I don't think people appreciate there's nothing wrong with Samsung keeping that 108 megapixel sensor for longer and just fine tuning it. Because the example I like to give is, look at Apple using the 12 megapixel, but how incredibly detailed they are, and just by adding deep fusion. Now, I don't know the in-depth technical reasons how they get them as detailed they can, but they really squeeze every little bit of juice at that 12 megapixel sensor. So you don't think that getting that 200 megapixel sensor is going to jump. I think one of the things we should probably aim to do a little bit more is say to them, like, stop your roll. You don't need a 200 megapixel sensor. You need them to optimize. You could have a Ferrari, but if it's not optimized, you're not getting out of third gear. You're not going past 60 miles an hour.
But I think with Google, they saw this was the end of that sensor. Like they got
100%.
It was time to move. It was time.
Because they were using the same one since the Pixel 2. I want to say so. No, it was
Pixel 2.
Because I feel like no matter, it's the same reason why we get new games like PS4 was the original. Now we have PS5. Because at some point you're like, okay, we have no more room.
They cannot.
Yeah, we have no more room to go any further with this. Let's get the next one in, and then it takes a little bit for you to get it.
And the other thing is as well, in the same analogy, I understand that Google had a very long time. I mean, how long, Barry? You'll probably know the answer to this. That sensor that they just changed out, how long did they have it? Like the full 4 or 5 years or something like that?
They had it since Pixel 2, I think, right?
Yes.
So that's a very long time to fine tune to that sensor.
Correct.
So I understand that they have the new GN1. It's gonna take time, which is why, yes, I'm annoyed now, but I am willing to come back to it.
Yep. Exactly.
Because I understand it's new. They're still very young. They're still learning to walk before they can run overall as a phone manufacturer. So in that sense, I 100% understand. The only reason I'm returning it is because my Android is my business line, and I squeeze blood out of a rock when it comes to work.
I'm the same way. Like this is my
I need it to be reliable, and unfortunately, this isn't that right now. So I'm going to pivot to a bit of Me Mafia. I'm going to pivot to a bit of Samsung, because I haven't really used a top end Samsung since 2017, and I'll circle back to the Pixel, and that'll be that.
Yeah.
Yo, Android Digest, good point, man. He was talking about the Samsung shutter lag, yo. The one thing, and it's not that I'm trying to bash on the Samsung, but him saying that just reminded me of something that I noticed today with the Pixel. I didn't know that face unblur was automatic. I thought it was something that you had to like turn on, bro.
Yes.
My kid was literally doing like this.
Yes.
Sharp.
Oh yeah.
Sharp. So when people tell me, Samsung, there's no shutter lag. Oh, it's not that blurry. No, Samsung do the same thing. So take a picture with that ultra wide and stitch it together.
That's the reason. Like I said, that is the reason. Like I'm telling you, that's the reason why I was so shocked by Peter's experience, and I felt so bad for him, because you literally almost can be running with this and taking photos. Like it's
And-
literally with that wide,
yeah,
that
I mean-
ultra wide. It's just like it's like
Efficient
taking
thing
all these things in the background. It's like, guess what? I don't
let
care
me
what you're
see
doing.
If I can pull
Yeah,
this.
the new action pan mode, I got to play around with that today. Now, I don't know what kind of camera voodoo is going on there, but
Are you talking about cinematic pan?
Cinematic pan is
no,
fire.
when it does like
Love
let's say a car's coming past in traffic.
Oh yeah.
And
that
Oh,
thing, yeah.
action!
Have
action
you used
exposure.
cinematic? You use it cinematic pan, right?
Cinematic.
Have you used?
I'm
Can I
not-
explain it to you? What it is?
So yeah, go ahead. Absolutely.
So every content creator, and this is part of the reason why, if you're a content creator and you shoot anything with your phone, like maybe your B-roll and all that stuff, you simply have to have a pixel. I mean, you just got to have it. So a lot of times to get B-roll shots, we'll have what's called a slider. And this is just I know you guys know it, but for people that are not creators in the chat.
Mhm.
And that slider will, you have it on like a mirrorless or a camera, and it will just slide across, right, to get a real smooth shot. Cinematic pan, what it does is it's the ultra stabilization algorithm applied to like a 4K 60 video. And they just crop in a little bit so they can do all the math, right? But you literally with a pixel, you just turn cinematic pan and go like that, and then your
I know what you're
footage
on about. That's
is
started
it's-
with
it's
butter.
like
It's
a
nice.
slider. It's ridiculous. So where Apple is going with this, like there are some issues with cinematic mode, so you can't really use cinematic mode in the way they showed us. Because if you go from person to person to person, someone's hair is going to be screwed up or whatever. All right.
Yeah, it really has to be in a
But
controlled
it
environment.
has to be in a controlled environment. But you could literally, if you got a 13 Pro and you had the lighting set up and you made sure that you were pretty like this, like during your talking head, and then you had a pixel to do cinematic plan,
Crazy.
you good. You got your talking head and you got your B-roll right there. And your
But
thumbnail
nah,
pictures.
I just got to see if y'all can
I
see
use
that.
it.
I don't know if it'll. There we go.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Literally
So
caught her
official-
mid jump. Literally caught her mid
Oh,
jump, bro.
can we make them big?
Face-
You know how to make them
Yeah,
big,
can you make it
Galen?
big? Galen? I don't know how to.
Yeah,
I don't know how to do it on
restream
restream.
either.
Let me see if
Barry,
I can.
I've actually used pixel photos for thumbnails, and I'll show you this thumbnail later. But I've got a case and all this like.
Can you hold
background blur going.
Yeah. Go. Okay, yeah. All right. So I want to see.
Oh, hold on,
Don't,
let me,
keep it ready.
yeah,
You
I
can
got
keep
you.
talking, Peter. I want to look at this.
No, I just
Go
wanted
ahead,
to say
Galen.
you can definitely use a
I'm
pixel for
trying to
B-roll.
figure out how to do it still. Hold on. Yeah, I don't know how to make Ike. Oh, never mind. I got it.
Yeah, I
Right
want to see.
there.
I gotta
Right
see this. I got blow.
Caught
Wow.
her caught her mid.
Wow.
And that keep in mind is like she's jumping and she's like moving around at the same time.
Is that with
100%
cinematic
pure
pan?
in
What
focus.
No,
mode is that?
no.
No.
That's-
This is
that's
just
just
straight
regular
up snap the shot.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
that's not the shot. So basically what's happening is when you take a picture now, what Pixel is doing, the ultra wide is taking like 1 million of those photos
That looks great.
because we have kids, right, that are running around that we want to capture the moment. So when they're doing all this stuff, jumping and all that, it's literally using one picture to go super fast. I got you. And then it takes the actual picture that you took and it says, all right, I can recreate it.
Yeah, and it's like putting it together and like stitching multiple photos.
Correct.
So it's like face never blurred, and it's like the Pixel already had really fast shutter already as it is.
Yeah, right.
And
right.
this, in my opinion, is just like
it's next level.
And
that's the reason why, like, I'm so
damn,
shocked. Like,
man.
I would have never given this but God, like $600, you got the same fuck shit. I'm like,
So,
oh my
so
God.
speaking of price, Barry, I heard you. I think it was Gadget got his screen. No, it was Easy Stream the other night. Y'all were talking about the future of the A devices. And pretty
Yes.
much everybody
I'm
had
interested in that. That's
pretty,
great.
pretty much
It's tough.
everybody had
It's
a different.
so tough.
Yeah,
It's so tough.
Pretty
so
much
this is the
everyone
thing.
had a different view on it.
So
What do
this
you
is the thing.
guys
So this is the thing. I'm worried about the A line because if I'm Google, do I really want to, when I can have my team and the HTC team that have done this, that gave us our first design, focus just on one line and just say Pixel 7 is $599 like last year. Pixel 7 Pro is $899 like last year. And by the way, we still have the Pixel 6 for $499.
And I like that.
You
too.
see them?
I like
I
that
think
too.
that's the way to go. I'm telling you.
Because
And let
people can
one
literally
and let
order
Very
OnePlus.
Apple-like move.
It's an
Exactly.
Apple-like move. You know what I'm
Exactly.
saying?
And that's just what I was getting ready to
And
say.
guess who they're
Jashar.
coming after? They're coming after Apple. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That's what they're coming after.
So they should. So they should.
Yeah.
Because it's like, man, imagine a price drop for that to $499.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
You got
It's hard.
so much.
I'm telling you, it's
value.
really hard for me to recommend against this phone already. Just because what it's bringing and the price point. But I mean, next year it's like everybody. It's like I gotta. So like Septian, he does A-line devices, right?
Yeah.
And when this dropped to 600, and I knew he was going to go for the 5A, I said no, get the 6. Septian, for what you do, you create with your phone, get the 6. But next year, now I have the conversation with people that aren't content creating. It's like $500. Get this.
Get this.
Unless you can get a used iPhone and stay in that ecosystem. But come on, $500.
So I want to hear each of your guys' opinion.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry about that.
No, spec for spec. What do you think is the A series are going to look like next year? Do you think they're just going to bring tinter in with plastic backs? Do you think they're still going to carry over the GN1 sensor? Do you think they still have a ton of 12 megapixel sensors? So what do you guys think is going to happen with the A-line next year, the 6A? Let's say 6A.
I honestly, I'm not gonna lie, man. Like as much as I like the A-line and what it stands for, I honestly just want them to get rid of it after this.
Yeah.
Okay. I really do.
Can you come back to me? Can you come back to me? Can you come back to me?
Yeah,
can you come back to me after this?
And I know I watched the same live stream, and Gigi brought up a very valid point where she was saying, but people want their phone to like they don't like some people are like, well, I don't want last year, I want new. And that's very valid. That's very valid. But I feel like there's so much potential and so much power to just have a team that just says, hey, you know what? I don't have to think about that A-line device. I don't have to think about, well, if we put this in there, oh, well, then nobody's going to buy this. They don't have to think about that. They can just say, let me make the best this that I possibly can. That excites me. That excites me. But when you're splitting that team, it's kind of like,
I agree.
You know, I can't make that A-line device too good because then no one will want to buy that entry 7 series device. You know exactly what I'm saying. It's like you have to, you don't want to make it like Apple too much where it's like we want to leave stuff out just to make you go to the next level. But if they make that A-line device too good, well, what's the point in going with that baseline 7 series?
Well, they did that last year.
Yeah, so it's one of those things where it's just like I honestly wouldn't be mad to see them get away from the A-line and just say here's 7, here's 7 Pro or 7 Ultra, 6 is now $499. You know what I'm saying? Like I wouldn't be mad at them.
So I'll go last. Go to Pitar and Mims, and I'll come back with my.
So I'm gonna look at it from a very different perspective. Okay. How often do you see people in the Asian markets complain they don't have access to Pixel? And it's an area where Xiaomi, with its Redmi brand, the Nord from OnePlus are extremely dominant. And Google can very strongly compete. Now that Google is using Tensor, I think they can probably barter with Qualcomm to get some good 600 or low end 700 series Snapdragon silicon and manufacture some cheap, 6As that are similar to like, I don't know, the 4A or the 4A 5G or something. They can penetrate further into those markets. So I think you will see the A-line carry on, but I think it will be in foreign markets used to penetrate and establish a foothold.
That's a very valid point that I didn't think about. I honestly hope they do that because I would rather see the device land in more people's hands. Because you got people in those areas that are like, bro, we want to try Pixel.
Well, and it's really important because iPhone just had a 200% year-on-year growth in India. Now, India is a very price-conscious market, right? They're all about maximum value for as little money as possible. And with that camera, with the Android, for how long they're supporting their devices now, even if they said for the A series, it's free OS updates, that's fantastic. Free OS updates, I've got a Pixel 3a XL I sold the other day, which got Android 12. That's fantastic. So there's so much value to be had. And by establishing that foothold and selling that volume in those foreign markets, I think that's Google's answer to knocking at Apple's door and saying we're here and we're challenging you, not just in America in this market, but in those growth markets where you're targeting. Yeah, we're here too now. What are you going to do about it to compete with us? You need to compete with me. So it's just another way they can get at Apple, and it's good for Google's growth.
So what do you think about it, Mims?
I think if you're looking at it from a camera perspective alone, yeah, it'd be okay to get rid of the A-line. But I'm thinking more altogether. I think there's so many features that you can kind of put in one device and make a case that, okay, we can keep the A-line around, because the Pro and the 6 should be, you know, I think they if they kind of keep it separate, you know, like the way Apple's kind of doing it compared to like the Pro models there. You know, some got certain features. I think that's fine. I'm not really mad at Google if they want to continue to do that. And based off what Pitar said, there's markets that kind of just want to get into the entry level. They don't want to pay top dollar to get into a Google Pixel or whatever. So probably just think that's just what it is. I think the A-line can be around as long as they keep it differentiated enough to where, okay, we got the you got your Pros and then you got your A-line. That's all you got to do. So
So Barry, what do you think about?
I've listened to all of you and you all have valid points, and I'm starting to man, it's going to be hard for me. So the A-line really was a necessity, and it was because they couldn't do a flagship. They were trying and no one respected, even though people now give it up to the 4XL, the masses didn't really respect it. Man, I'm cool with them not doing the A-line anymore. I can say that. I'm cool with them just dropping the price of the 6. You know, hey, throw a plastic back on there. If you, instead of being $499, $450. You know what I'm saying? It could be, you call it the 6, you know, special edition, and just keep it moving, you know, and let OnePlus kind of go, you know. And I think $449 is good enough for India. If you look at what the OnePlus 9R was, that's about the same price point, and let the 6 just beat up on that device and challenge OnePlus that, hey, you need to step up, either come in cheaper or you gotta bring it.
So I ain't gonna lie. After hearing that though, I'm down for what Pitar was saying, 100%. Because I feel like now that they have a proper flagship, I think that their next goal is, how do we get this, or not even this as, exactly, not even so much as like the Pro, right? But just the Pixel name, the Pixel brand. How do we get that in more hands? And me and Jason C was talking about that not too long ago in Twitter DMs, and I was like, their biggest step now is getting the Pixel in more people's hands, because it's one thing when people don't want to try or don't want to buy your product. You got like Box of Tech. He lives over in Malaysia, and he's like, dude, they want
to try it.
He wants it so bad, but he can't get one. So I feel like that, in my opinion, is Google's next like thing.
And they got to market
in more people's hands.
Yeah,
they
got to market their budget line too. Whatever.
Yeah, I agree with what. I agree with what Android Digest was saying here. I definitely think they need like a phone on literally every category. Still, like a 300, a 450, a 600, and then the flagship, whatever they want to price that at. Just because Samsung and Apple both have devices in all of those categories for the
thank you, Android, because that's my this is the first time that the HTC really, you see it like this. This could be an old HTC. Let them work. Let's get out of the way. Let them work for you for years and then try to expand, you know.
I don't know, man. HTC has a special place. I don't know.
So do you think
I do too, because that one M8 is, in my opinion, the best phone ever designed. That one M8, oh my god.
Another question: do y'all think Google is done with Qualcomm? Do you think?
Yeah.
I think so. I think so.
During that event, when they said you held us back, they literally shut the door in their face.
It actually, that was one that I think that was more the final confidence that what really probably ended their relationship, and it would have to be CEO talking to CEO now to get it back, is when on the behalf of Android, they went in and negotiated. When they went and negotiated that deal, like to get updates for all the OEMs, including them. And they made the announcement, and then Samsung made the announcement. And then they came out and said, guess what? We are straight gangster. We ain't using your chips no more. They did it knowing that they were using it. You don't just go have a meeting and then the next year you show up with a Tensor chip going into your phone. You have been working on that phone. So just so you guys know, I'm an engineer. My best friend, I don't mention it, but my best friend worked for Qualcomm for years. Now he works for his whole team, moved to a startup that actually sends designs to Qualcomm. He worked all the way up to the 898, and he left a couple of years ago. All right. So heard what I said, 898. Okay. So these chips don't just happen overnight. It's a long process, you know. So it's a big disappointment to everyone. Like if the 888 overheats, that's a problem, because it's something that should have been, you know, vetted out, you know.
Yeah, and that's always my biggest thing too, because you already know, like if anybody should be upset or feel some type of way towards Google over the Pixel, it should be Qualcomm.
It should be
now
Qualcomm.
You got so many other brands talking about making their own chips, bro. And I'm not gonna lie, I love Qualcomm. Yeah, I agree. I agree. Like, and I absolutely love Qualcomm. You know, but the thing is you can never just do. Yeah, it's like you never can do as much optimization and real like fine tuning for the specific things for your device with an off the shelf processor. You cannot do it. You can do some great things, but it will never be as good as controlling both the hardware and the software.
Let me tell you why I don't like and I don't respect Qualcomm. I feel like Qualcomm has deliberately, for its own profit, held back Android. I broke some news like 2 years ago when I was just like 2-3 years ago, and I was just a dude on Twitter and stuff. I found an article and some information with Brandon from This Is Tech Today that Qualcomm was deliberately prohibiting anyone giving more than 2 OS updates to continue to sell more Qualcomm chips. And the way Qualcomm had a monopoly on silicon in Android. They were charging, I think it was $250 per unit for like the 888. You know, how much are you adding to the price of these devices? And then Google has to come and say to you, like, look, we need to start giving 3 years of updates to be competitive and stuff like that. Qualcomm has done more harm than good. And because they were the only real sole provider of good Android silicon, whenever they had something like an overheating issue, I was like, oh, well, who else are you going to go with? You still got to buy it.
Well, and also real quick. So this is the thing. This is the thing. So I'm not going to, I understand where you're coming with Qualcomm, and there's a lot of stuff going on with Qualcomm, right? But that's where it comes back to the content creators, and it goes back to the same energy, right? So that's where we all come in and try to say, like, not to say bash Qualcomm, but it's like, this is the reasoning why this is happening, instead of just blindly saying, oh, Apple does everything the best, you know, or blah, 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 you know, the Exynos. There's a reason why Google had to have this meeting, you know, and it's because of situations like this, because companies, when they have everything and we don't call them on it, what happens? We're in a situation where a company has to break away and build their own chip. Yeah, well, because they should have been able to sort this out. They should have been. Google should not have been forced to have to go. They should have just been like, "Hey, you know what? Hey, we're your customer. Everything should be good."
I mean, hats off to Samsung as well. Look, I know they're aware that Exynos is behind. It's got its issues. It's something I'm very vocal about. I'm very vocal about the fact that I feel Samsung in Europe and outside of America is very anti-consumer, because they've known for years how inferior Exynos chips are, the performance. Like the ISP was significantly worse. You weren't even getting the same quality of pictures, thermals, battery life. The list goes on. I'm not going to waffle, but my point is this. It really bothers me when you sell me that device here knowing it's inferior in performance and it won't last as long compared to the American model. And not only that, on the American models, you're including active cooling systems within your phones that don't actually need it, but your Exynos device, which you could include these active cooling systems on to offset your poor thermals and sustain the performance, you're not. Do I have mug written on my forehead?
Hey, no,
Like,
but it happens over here too. Samsung, like to give you an example, the S21 Ultra, Ike doesn't have this experience, but a lot of them overheat, and we know
because of the
there's
shutter
a
angle.
different like heat seeking system, you know, like in the over, I shouldn't say Japanese, but over in Korea and all that stuff, as opposed to here, you know, and it comes back to bite you at times.
I think that was the 888 though, because if
Oh
we
yeah,
look
the
at
triple eight
every
is the
phone that
triple.
had
Yeah, the triple, except for the Mi 11, that got it under control, and
hot point,
also the one, yeah, OnePlus figured out a way to limit it severely, you know. But yeah, it messed up a lot of companies, you know. So I think it's we have to bring it out, because if you look, OnePlus 9 really they ruined their reputation to keep that relationship. They never came out and blamed Qualcomm. They try to do everything on the slide, don't want to mention Qualcomm, and try to slide in that update. And they got through the rails when it really was Qualcomm's fault. It was the 888. And they're just trying to mitigate the damage without destroying their relationship by calling them out.
OnePlus fell on their own sword. It's not just that, you know, it's a thing, but OnePlus just fell on their own sword. If you ask me, what's happened to them, they did to themselves. They caused their own problems.
Yeah, but
You know?
I disagree with you with compared to, they were, at least in the States, they were literally by tech people raked over the coals when they added that update to fix the Snapdragon. Came out of a press release. I mean, to try to sneak it in, came out of a press release because they didn't want to mention Qualcomm. So I don't know, I'm not sure if you're familiar with what I'm talking about. So they put in a
I'm
throttle.
actually
So
not.
okay, so this is
Oh,
what they
the
did.
throttle.
All right.
Is it the
Yeah,
throttle?
so we know that we're dealing with and I apologize if I get too technical, but we're dealing with asymmetrical cores. It's not like what we do with most PCs where they're symmetrical, right? So you have a high performance core, your mid performance, and then you have your bottom cores, right? So what OnePlus did was they rewrote their firmware to kick stuff like WhatsApp and like Instagram to the lower core, you know. So they basically put a performance throttle. You still got really good performance, and it shows. Like if you compare it to like an S21 Ultra, the OnePlus still kills it. But what happened over here with the tech community is they were like, "Oh, okay, guess what?" Because OnePlus was like, "I'm not going to damage my relationship with Qualcomm." They raked them through the coals. They're like, OnePlus is garbage. They are absolutely, you know, ridiculous. You know, how could they do that? They're throttling. They didn't tell anyone and all that stuff. They were just trying to save their relationship. They were trying to save their phone because they were already losing, because people were returning their phone because they didn't like the way the cameras were, you know, were doing, you know, so they already went through that. Now they're bringing it back to life, and they've got an issue with overheating.
I mean, would you say that OnePlus or BBK? Because OnePlus are part of the BBK group, and I know from previous history, BBK can act in a certain way, you know, and BBK owns like Oppo, Vivo.
Oh yeah, but the thing is, they're separate teams. Peter, we weren't having issues with Vivos and all that. It was OnePlus that was having the overheating issues.
Okay, cool.
So they had to actually start writing, you know, customized firmware. And they did a great job. And let me just show you. And this is the beautiful part of the gangster that is Samsung. So I like all products. I think they all have their strengths. But the gangster that is Samsung is they're not going to bash Qualcomm. They're like, we're not Google. We're not going to bash Qualcomm. But at the same time, you got that S21 Ultra overheating. We ain't changing nothing. And guess what? Our team of advocates won't say anything on the ground. So people on YouTube, and they're not going to say anything. We got them on lock.
I think, and I think the difference though with that, maybe it would have been better received by OnePlus or from OnePlus, but they're in a whole different position than Samsung.
Oh yeah, it would have been. Yeah, Samsung knows they're like, we don't have to do anything. They're like, we're not having an issue.
Yeah,
and they're like, we got all of our people online. They won't say it. Oh hey, and they're probably like laughing in the boardroom, like they talking shit about that Pixel. But guess what? We're overheating like a motherfucker, but no one's saying anything. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? They know they got it on lock. Yeah. And that's where we come in as tech creators. We have to, and that's what I said, keep the same energy. If you have a preference for something, express the preference, but keep that energy on everything, because that is going to hold these companies to task, and we're going to get devices that cost $600. That's what happens.
Yeah,
you see what I'm saying? Because for me to get this kind of performance, I had to get a Xiaomi. So Peter, you probably have carriers like this. I would get Xiaomi's and I love them, right?
Mhm,
That
mhm.
would compete with this, you know, but I had 4 networks. Now there's 3. With my Xiaomi's, they can only go on 2 networks in the States. This, any network. It's the power of Pixel. Like over here, it's like, guess what? You give me a SIM, put it in it, eSIM, boom, I'm ready to go. Whereas the Xiaomi, I'm like, oh, what bands do I have and all that stuff? I can't go on Verizon. Here, I can do anything I want. MVNO.
Out of curiosity, Barry, I feel like you could probably answer this question. You know, iPhones, for example, doesn't matter where you buy it in the world, they all support the same band.
Yes, yeah.
Yep,
Is
it's
it the
the
same
same
case
way
with
with
Pixel?
It's so they all support. Yeah, it's the same case for Pixel.
That's a very good move.
And this was hard for them to do because we have to think of Apple, right? Apple for years. So to give you an example, if you went into a Verizon store, or if you go into a Verizon store, you walk into a Verizon store and you'll get what's called the Verizon bloat on Android, and that includes Samsung. They'll have these apps and all that stuff. You go into a T-Mobile, same thing. They'll have apps or whatever. They even might hold back some updates, like from the normal thing. All right. You go in it doesn't matter how long with Apple, and you walk in. Apple's like, guess what? You want to sell our phones? You ain't putting none of that stuff on our phone. We control the updates. We are the gangsters here. You see what I'm saying? We are the straight gangsters. And guess what? Apple's not like doing what Google did, going to Qualcomm to negotiate. They're kind of sitting back in the boardroom laughing like, yeah, these people they have to deal with, their people have to wait on updates. They got all this bloatware installed. Another thing. So the Pixel changed this as well. All right. Pixel, if I take it to a subcarrier, MVNO, all right, most Android phones, pretty much 90% of Android phones, you go, hey, what happened to my voicemail? It's 2021, and you have to dial in to get your voicemail.
Right.
Apple never had to do that. Apple never had to, because they went to the carriers and said, guess what? Do you want to sell our phones or not? Do you have a relationship? Guess what? We're telling you what to do. And then here comes Pixel saying, guess what? For visual voicemail. You see what I'm saying? So it's really been tough out here in those scenarios, but we have to recognize what it is. And that's why as a community, we have to highlight this kind of stuff, because competition is only going to make it easier for us.
Yeah, 100% agree with you.
Yeah, what game is she playing, Mims?
Aw, cutie pie.
Something called Beanie Boo. It's like a little counting game.
Yeah, on that note, I know some of y'all got kids.
Yeah, yep. I know.
It's getting late here. We've been live for 2 hours and 5 minutes. I want to thank all of you for joining me on this live stream. Thanks, Barry, for coming in live.
Yep, thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming in last minute. If Trent's watching, thank you for coming in as well.
Yeah, thanks, Trent.
All of y'all dropped some real fire on this stream. Definitely going to have you guys again another time.
Thank you, man.
Appreciate it. And thanks for all the people watching. Make sure you subscribe to their channel.
Hit that like and subscribe button. Hit that like and subscribe button.
Yeah, subscribe to their channels as well. Direct Tech, Barry Johnson. That's the name of yours, right? Or is it?
Yep, Barry Johnson. Yep.
Dwayne Mims, Direct Tech, Ike's Tech Talk. So yeah, make sure you subscribe, and thanks for watching, everybody.
Cheers, guys. See you later.
Yeah.
Good night.